I know you were dancing to that music. Don't tell me you were not dancing. Anyways, welcome back. This is still Eva. It's the entertainment show on Signature TV. On our segment this minute, we have the celebrity pick. Celebrities that we are actually looking up to, that we love, and possibly crushing on. Yeah.
Or sending them love from this end.
From this end. So, yeah, our first celebrity pick today is Richard Moffat from the Films and Arts. Of course, I know you know him, and I know you. I don't want to talk too much, but do you know that Richard Evans Moffat Damijo, popularly known as RMD, is a foremost Nigerian actor, writer, producer, lawyer, and former journalist. He was also a commissioner for culture and tourism in Delta State in 2009 and in 2005. He won, in 2005, he won the African Movie Academy Award for Best Actor in a Leading Handsome Man, and say he's 63 years old.
Like, the man today,
it will do.
Honestly, at that point,
the man to do. Like, can you imagine the whole thing he has actually achieved? A producer, a writer, an actor, lawyer, journalist.
And he's fresh.
I don't want to talk about.
Okay. Not to be cut on fresh.
I don't want to talk about his outfits. Like, he doesn't even dress his age. Funny enough.
He's always giving that "I'll never be old" vibe.
Honestly
I know
speaking,
when someone ages well like that.
Oh God.
There's not like you can't look at that man and just say he's just an old man.
No.
He's giving zaddy.
He's not even looking 60.
He's giving zaddy.
Oh God.
Sugar daddy. No, but amazing.
Truth be told, honestly, I never knew he was even into journalism.
Yes, and I never knew he even did this culture for tourism.
Honestly.
Like he was commissioner for. I was like, this man has achieved.
That's why a lot of people love him. That's why a lot of women are like sweeping around his feet.
And
like,
that's one of the
God.
reasons why he's our first celebrity pick today. You know. Yes. And our second celebrity pick for today in the music industry is Tems. Yes. Temilade Okpeyiniyi, known as professionally as Tems, is a Nigerian singer, songwriter, and record producer. She rose to prominence after being featured on Wizkid's 2020 single Essence, which peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, following the release of the remix version with Justin Bieber. The song earned her a Grammy Award nomination that same year, and she was featured on the song's Fountains by the Canadian rapper Drake. Who doesn't like Tems?
I don't know.
I really love the fact that when she came in like music and we began to know her, she really gave us that boss lady vibes. I think that's one of the things I love most about her. It's like even her lyrics shows "Don't play with me."
It's not something. It's not like a copyright kind of lyrics. She came in with her own vibe and energy.
Unique sound, and I really love that for her. I love her the unique sound she brought.
And her natural body.
That lady is beautiful. That lady is beautiful. We know when you say Nigerian women are beautiful, you should be talking about Tems too. Tems, that lady is pretty. She's pretty.
Calm down.
Pretty and curvy. I'm a lady and I'm still saying it. She's pretty.
Honestly, she's one of a kind, right? She's one of a kind. She's someone that just came into the starlight of music, and she won a Grammy Award. The funniest part is that she's been featuring with foreign musicians.
Yes, Future, Drake. I'm like, big ups, babe. Big ups. Like,
honestly, like,
she has
do you know like, she's still on her tour?
Yes, Born in the World.
Yeah.
Born in the World tour, which will end, I think it will end in November. I think that's when the last tour will end.
Anyways.
Amazing. We know you understand why we love Tems, and we know why you love Tems.
They love Tems too. Who doesn't love Tems?
So please put it in the comment section that you love her, which of our music you love the most as well.
Essence for me. Alright, so from the fashion scene we have Atafo. Ohimai Atafo, professionally known as Mai Atafo, is a Nigerian fashion designer known for his brand Mai Atafo. He underwent training at the Savile Row Academy in Leeds, United Kingdom, to become a skilled tailor. See, anytime you see Ebuka Obi Uchendu
Looking amazing.
looking exquisite in the Big Brother Naija show every night, just know that this young man is responsible for that look.
Honestly, he has done things. Did you watch the not like watch per se, but did you follow the updates of Sharon Oja's wedding and everything? Do you know that her husband was styled by him?
Really?
I'm serious. Those amazing wears you saw,
Yeah.
it was him that did it.
God.
I was just like,
The fact, at a point, whenever Ebuka mentions Atafo, I'm like,
Who
is
is this
it
guy?
who is this person? Like, it's not as if he comes out to show his face every time. Like, we know who Vicky James is now, right?
Yeah.
So, but like, who is this Atafo?
Yeah.
But bro, funny enough, he didn't even learn his skill in Nigeria.
Yes, and his works are, his designs are.
It's too like, I wonder how sometimes, are you a human being? Ebuka will come out in Big Brother Naija show every night, and you can't even expect what's coming. Like, you will just be anticipating. Like on Sunday, I was like, I wonder what he's going to wear this time around. That's what was coming in my brain, because I know this guy, and I'm not sure he repeats styles for him. Honestly,
So,
big oh Jesus,
You
thumbs
guys,
up
you guys
to
are seeing
you.
why he's our celebrity pick for fashion.
Honestly.
If you go through his Instagram page and see his work, you would be seeing, you understand why he's our celebrity pick for
Yeah,
fashion
I mean,
for today. And looking at he even started like a line where he uses his logo. His logo is imprinted on some clothes, and he now styles that and like makes a dress out of it. And I'm just like, creativity, wow.
Man.
Like the logo, when I see the material,
Yeah.
I can't even tell that it's a logo that is on it. Like, it's just so flawless. I can't explain. I'm just like, guy,
You're too good.
you're too good. Exactly. So in the business world, our celebrity pick for today is Femi Otedola.
Why are you hyping him like that?
Peter Otedola is a Nigerian businessman and philanthropist. He's the former chairman of Fort Oil PLC and is the current executive chairman of Gregu Power PLC. You know, when you hear Femi Otedola, you're expecting money.
Of course, a billionaire.
Business. Yeah. So if you are in the business world, you pride yourself in being someone that like is in business, and you don't know Femi Otedola.
Who are you looking up to get to that top?
Yes, exactly. Why? Exactly. Who do you now know? Who are you? Who is your model that you are, trying to look up to and be like? You understand? But we know that man is amazing, and his cute videos with his daughters.
Oh my God!
I love it when I say
my
father
God.
supports his
God.
children, or like show that fatherly love, because it's not something we see all the time. We see motherly love a lot.
Yeah.
But it's not every time you see fatherly love
with
and
daughters.
And
as much as their fathers love their daughters, honestly, you'll see that love for daughters when it comes to fathers. But this man shows so much love
and support to their,
honestly,
like their achievements. I saw when he
and
posted
career.
His daughter Temi, when she was debut as a model on the runway, and he posted it on his IG, and I'm like, this one is supporting his daughter. God,
no, and in whatever career they choose,
yes,
in whatever career they choose,
DJ Copy, the way he supported
honestly,
her, I'm like,
it's not that kind of father that you must read law and you must be a lawyer.
Yes.
You must be a doctor.
You must follow my
footsteps. Do you know who I am?
Be into business.
Yes, you cannot be a DJ. No, he's not that kind of father.
Well, but we also know that he knows business. As he's a good father, he's a good
base Africa and Ebony Life TV. She also featured Africa and Ebony Life TV. She also featured as Feke in the popular Nigerian TV series Tinsel and the popular sitcom program Hustle as Cindy. She started working with Arise TV in 2018, where she works as a host for Arise TV's The Morning Show, where she discusses business, tech, and entertainment with industry experts.
I like that lady.
Why
I
do you
love
like her? Tell me one thing, one good reason why you like her.
I love it when I see someone, you know, because we're also in this world of being on-air personalities.
Yeah.
I love it when someone carries themselves well, and I'm able to look at you and like the way you present your show, and
Like
I'm
you're
like,
doing good. Like she's doing real good, and of course, we're
and she
picking her.
acts too.
Very, oh God. You know, all these people, all these are celebrity pigs. Una too do. Una too, you guys are doing so much, honestly. And I feel that's why we love you all so much. And that's why most people are looking up to your career and wanting to be like you whenever it's time for them. So please, don't even let us down. Don't do that. Yes, please, don't do
So
that.
I actually want to know what you guys think about our celebrity pick. Do you think we did well picking the celebrities and you love our choices of
Yeah.
celebrities? Or do you feel like you have better choices by
Or do you think we
yourself now?
picked the wrong people? You can still drop that
Yes,
in the
now
comment section.
tell
We
us the
don't
people you
mind.
think we could have picked for the different category at DME.
And of course, it's your baby girl, Queenette Wokunta.
Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook,
TikTok,
yeah, TikTok, like she said.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, YouTube, please subscribe. Click the subscribe button now. So, and yes, it's been vibes.
Good morning. It is a beautiful Tuesday right here on Signature Television. This is the Signature Morning. How are you doing this morning? You know how we do it, we bring you the newspaper headlines, the newspaper review, and every other thing you need, to know about what's happening around you. My name is Belinda, and today is special. Charles told me earlier that today is, special. He started this day with on a very beautiful note, smiling and all of that. And I was, asking him what caused the unusual happiness, Charles.
Well, two things basically.
Okay.
One is the fact that there are some persons who thought that their political strongholds cannot be taken away from them as long as they live. And so I'm excited that at least they're beginning to see that they are humans. They can lose things.
Exactly.
And so other one is the fact that I'm alive. I'm kicking. I'm strong. I'm really, really, really excited about today.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll read you the newspaper headlines. Stay with us. Newspapers this morning. We'll be starting off from the the trending news here. State of emergency stalks rivers as political thugs attack councils. That's on the page 6 of the Guardian newspapers.
Anti-graft war won't be won by technicalities, declares Tinubu.
NAFDAC champions food labeling standards as workers commence indefinite strike.
Worries over petrol price as Tinubu deregulates downstream sector.
80% of Africans unhappy with delivery of democratic rules, says Akinkere Ekon.
Police arrest Areboshola's loyalists for accusing Oyetola of using palliative rice as birthday gifts.
Reviving a comatose technical education beyond enrollment drive.
All right. Court reduces bail of 5 NSAR's governance protesters to 5 million naira each. I'm sure they're going to bring it down further. They're going to bring it down maybe to 200,000 naira at some point, because again, it really makes no sense as far as I'm concerned.
Right, moving ahead to the Vanguard newspapers this morning, just above the mast, federal government and MPCL, Dangote plan changes in petrol lifting investigation.
Malnutrition, federal government, can, World Bank unites to save 11 million children.
Just like we saw from the Guardian newspapers half here, that court reduces bill to 5 million naira for NSAS end bad governance protesters each.
Autonomy, don't give workers salary to LG's Labour begs federal government.
Idoguba, PDP accuses INEC of doctoring BVAS, cancelling rigging.
Tinubu committed to food security, says VP Shatima.
Okay, and CAF Confederation Cup, Ayimba gets tough Egyptian draw. I think that's all from that particular newspaper. So moving ahead to the Punch. Fubara camp opposes emergency rule as 3 killed. Secretariat raised with the rider. Tinubu warns against anarchy. PDP governors Clark back Fubara.
Below the mast, Naira for crude. Federal government proposes 6-month supply for Dangote refinery with the rider refinery to get 24 million barrels in 2 months. Fresh concerns over NNPCL's sole petrol buyers role.
2027 Obi Kwankwaso alliance proposal will fail, says APC.
Federal government lists 7 states for Mpox vaccination.
Okay. Lagos begins trial of 2 doctors over patient's death.
Nigerians in Lebanon fault federal government's over evacuation claim.
Wando, 2 foreign firms shortlisted to buy Trinidad's national refinery.
We're moving over to the Blueprints newspaper. On the Blueprints this morning, Rivers boils 5 killed. Presidency orders police to restore order with the rider. Go to court over local government post. Tinubu urges aggrieved politicians. End your feud in national interest. Bode George begs Wike and Fubara.
Pay our salaries to Local Government Service Commission. NUG, NUT, NUP tell federal government.
Tinubu speaks. Technicalities. Intimidation of judges. Bane of anti-corruption war.
Boni approves a 1.4 billion naira for 25,500 Yobe flood victims.
Hajj 2023, 95,000 Nigerian pilgrims to receive 150 Rial refund each.
Access Bank gets approval to establish commercial bank in Namibia.
Gusau promises World Cup and AFCON tickets.
Okay. Right, let's move ahead to the Daily Independent newspapers this morning, just above the marks. Ayoku calls for change in tactics of fighting corruption, with the rider recovered proceeds of corruption invested in social programs. That's from Tinubu.
Rivers local government poll. Tinubu warns angry parties against self-help with the rider. Ask aggrieved parties fomenting trouble to go to court. Task security operatives to bring situation under control. 3 killed. 3 local government secretariats set ablaze. Violence spreads. Fubara condemns burning of secretariats, fingers, Wike's loyalists. Rivers CJ inaugurate election petition appeals tribunals.
All organs of APC except NWC are not functioning. That's from Lukman, what the writer says other parties held to ransom with syndicated leadership crisis. Lament NAS now a parastatal of presidency.
Edo Guba poll. Tribunal orders INEC to grant Igodalo PDP access to inspect materials.
Don't give our salary to local governments. Unions tell federal government with rider demand funds be made first line charge on FAC.
Dangote refinery would propel Africa out of poverty. Ibn Chambers speaks.
NAFDAC workers begin indefinite strike.
All right. That's all on the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. Daily Trust follows after. Tinubu releases 1,200 fertilizer bags to each senator, 600 to reps.
Sharia Council defends Senator Buba against politically motivated attacks.
Rivers crisis escalates with the rider. 4 local government secretariats burnt. Tinubu directs IGP to restore order. My meekness, not weakness, says Fubara.
Dangote refinery Nigerians may pay more for petrol as NNPC quits middleman role, with the rider Middle East tension to spark higher fuel cost. A 400,000 BPD for Dangote as Naira for crude oil deal begins.
Sharia Council defends Senator Buba against politically motivated attacks.
We are taking steps to address insecurity, disunity in North. That's from ACF.
We're moving over to the Nation newspaper. On the Nation, just above the mast to the left, will Supreme Court rules 2024 enhance justice delivery?
Okay, the nation, still on the nation, we have Tinubu orders police to end Rivers post-election violence with the rider explosions, gunshots at council secretariats.
Police probe starving to death of man by sex worker in Lagos.
Okay, council workers seek salary payment from first line charge.
Men can also have breast cancer. That's coming from the UITHCMD. It's warning. I've never seen that before.
We have actually had that program right here. We talked about breast cancer. We invited a doctor who explained that even men can actually have breast cancer.
Men can, but again, I haven't seen. Have you seen one?
But it's rare, according to what he said. It's rare. So,
Okay.
but you can actually, go watch out for that particular interview. Just go to our Facebook. We are on all social media platforms at Signature TV officials and on YouTube at Signature TV. Just go down, watch it, and then drop your comment. We'll be moving ahead to our reviewer right here this morning, Chris Maduka. Good morning.
Good morning. But not good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning,
Charles
Chris.
was agitated when you talked about breast cancer.
Oh well, yeah. I should be
It's
as a
been
man.
it's been aligned to women having breast cancer. So it's rare when you hear that men can actually have breast cancer.
No, I mean it's different because
in your
again,
generation of Gen Z, where we have so many things happening, LGBTQIYZ, anything can happen. So take it as one of those things.
but I mean, if you say a man can have breast cancer, and I'm just wondering, can a man also feed a baby with breast milk?
It's
Well-
not about breast
well, let's-
milk. That's not the
Let's,
cancer. That's not
none
where.
of our discussion here will make meaning until the expert.
Yeah, you have to go
And,
watch
Benito
watch
has
out that
referred
interview.
you
Yeah,
to the
go watch out that
expert,
interview.
interview we and show held on Signature Television morning. Was it morning on New Day?
It was morning. It was
Okay.
actually morning.
Signature morning, and it's there.
Okay,
can
I'll,
always
I'll,
consult
I'll
it
go and
and-
watch it. I'll go and watch it to
So
gain
do not
more
be
insights.
agitated as far
I
as there
can
are
see
so
you are
many things
scared.
that makes it come. As far as you're not involved in some of those things, like over fumbling of your breast by your concubine.
And it depends. It depends,
It
really. I
doesn't
mean,
depend on anything. And so, Charles, let's leave you and breast cancer and do newspaper review.
so Rivers is boiling,
It's boiling,
and still
actually.
boiling. Nobody knows what's going to happen today because while we woke up yesterday morning, we expected it because the governor had predicted that people have been mobilized to cause mayhem in the local government secretariats. And true to that, it played out. 3 local government areas were burnt down yesterday. Parts of them were burnt down. And I'm just wondering, really, everybody's pointing in one direction. I mean, you can't fault it. Then you have the presidency coming out to say that police should provide security.
That's coming out for the first time.
Yeah, and I'm like, why that late? Why didn't the president, make comments even before that election? And so that, to cushion whatever spillage that that particular build-up would have.
Oh, well, like I say, the way you make your mat, you lie on it. But once you sweep the truth under the carpet, there is a man in my place. His name is Ajoku Tueb. When a bad talk stays for a long time, gather moist and grows muco, that Ajoku, that's bad thought, bad talk, bad deeds. They do not rotten, they only grow muco. So any day you want to bring it up, you only clean up the muco. And the bad talk and the bad thought and bad deeds which become as good as new. There is also a thought that a school of thought that believes that when a chicken do not eat, it will scatter. That is Igbo philosophy. It's playing out. Whoever, and it's playing out in Nigerian political scenes everywhere. Once somebody loses election, how they lose or win is left for the umpire to decide. But that is a question of morality to answer. But since morals has been swept, I've given to the dogs in Nigeria, governance, electoral, every system in Nigeria, we put morals at the last. So nobody is talking about morals when it comes to elections in Nigeria. So it becomes the survival of the fittest. So in that survival of fittest war, whoever loses, we set fire. As the last resort. So it's very obvious, like we predict, the governor knew. Everybody were predicting that people are mobilizing. Why are they mobilizing? Come to election, you said no. The police that are now being asked to restore peace, there were viral video where they were going to snatch boxes, and there were viral video where the police were from the word go being fingered as not being objective. They were subjective. Whoever they are working for, we don't know, and we are not here to tell. So, if at this point, like the disciples of Jesus said, sir, he said, sir, will you at this time restore the kingdom? If the IGP of police, after all this said and done, we now decide to restore peace in Rivers, good. If they are still going to play the ostrich, follow human being, go kill the spirit, and then join the spirit to go for burial, condolences. That is left for them. But what are we saying? Nigerians are watching.
Well, it's easy
we
to
might
tell.
be watching
it's easy
and
to
become
tell.
helpless and not having anything to do.
It's easy to tell where this is coming from. And I'm wondering why the president is not going straight to the matter, calling both of them, and asking them, to sheathe their sword. Or better still, call his minister for the FCT. Everybody knows this story.
Well,
So why can't you just speak to his
when you
FCT
invite
minister?
me to review newspaper headlines, they say Rivers boil. And it's boiling because APC withdrew, faction of APC withdrew. PDP, that is the party of the government, some faction of it withdrew from participating in election. Then the ones, APP, and other parties went to the polls. And the results were announced. And the next thing is, so you might be right to say, do you know where to point fingers? Just like every Nigerian know where to point fingers. So those people know where the fingers are being pointed. So it's not from my mouth you hear that Father wear trousers under the kaftan. Whatever, whoever the finger is being pointed to, you know yourself. But one thing is clear. One thing is clear. Remember, River State, it's River State for you. I'm not from River State. So for as far as I know, because you want to win local government election, control party structure, control political structure, do whatever is in your mind that is personal interest, and you decide that the best thing is to get the whole of River State, put them in a pond, set them on fire, and you have River State in your pocket, and then you went home and dry, and go back to Abuja, and go to tell the president, I've done it. I've done it. And he will give you GCFON, GCFIC. He'll give you the highest honor in the country. You return back to River State, and we have nobody to receive you. If that is what you want, go ahead. Good luck. Remember, whoever has eaten his or her brethren for dinner has gone to bed on empty stomach. And remember, if anybody is doing this to River State people, your own people, and you want to make friend and handshake across the political handshake across, they will keep you at, they've done it to several people. Go and kill your people. They will send you to go and kill your people. They will sit down and say, if this man can do this to his own people, don't bring him close. He's a poisonous snake. And they don't know. Let them go back in history and see those who had used their Onyebulu 1 year is not Odogu. Whoever killed his brethren is not an Odogu. It's not a strong man. He doesn't deserve anything good. Among the people in Africa, they always believe that they give it a title. Ikemba. Go outside. Go do your exploits. Come back home. We will give you chieftain's title. But you are using your own people to show power. Let me ask you, must everything begin and end with you? Who made you? Or before God created the River State, He used it, it's your brain that God used to create the River State. That's what you're telling people. Without you, there will be nothing like River State. And such people, I'm sorry, have never ended well. Well, we are looking from far. And all these buga. I was reading some WhatsApp postings of philosophical thoughts. He said, it will end in a box. All this will end in a box. There was this pastor that was being interviewed over Nigeria 64 years. He said that his family plays a Monopoly game. Monopoly game comes in a box. When you finish playing it, you pack it back and put it in a box. He said his father told him that all this thing about life will end in a box. And what is that box? That is if you are lucky to have it. Coffin. And if you are lucky to have, the box will be lower down 6 feet. The highest time people will remember that you ever existed. Give them 1 month. You begin to become second part of the memory they hold. And that's how. You think it will go like that? Go. Until you recede into history, people will not remember you again. There are people who have ruled the world even in positive light, they are no more remembered. To talk about those who are causing palpitation and fear, when you talk about them, people like, ah, my father said, from the house of a coward is where you still have descendants, where people will look and say, Charles, that place that is empty bush, there used to be a strong man there. You can't pass his frontage of his house in the daytime or in the nighttime. He will chop you alive. From Uno Nyujo Kejalu Jelube Dika, Dika used to live there. So why not live within the means of being a coward? All this booger, Dika, everybody in a box.
Right.
In a minute, the whole thing will end. And all this amassing of power, amassing, God help Nigerians and God help all those who think that is the best way to live their life.
Some papers are reporting 3 killed. Some are saying 5 killed. And I thought that those deaths would have been avoided if the president had come in earlier to at least make a statement saying that they're watching scenarios. And I'm just even thinking through myself, the involvement of the police about this whole thing. From the time that it was announced that INEC should not release the voter register to RISEC, and RISEC responded that they already have it because they had it, previously. And up until when they now came and said they wanted to even, remove the materials that are supposed to be used for the elections, and then the withdrawal of police on Sunday, and on Monday, the announcement of the withdrawal of police from Monday, and then the attack. It just looked like the police basically allowed these things to happen. And until the president spoke, we would have had more local government burnt. And these are some things that are quite avoidable, and it's just because of one man. And I'm wondering, is the president scared of Wike? Can't the president say something? And then there are some rumors about imposing emergency rule in Rivers. Do you see a possibility?
Well, if you start imposing emergency rule because some talks went to set 3 local government, what is the reason? When you have strong reason for emergency, is it that talks? Where is emergency rule in where Boko Haram has invaded the country and taken part of the state for how many years? They're taking taxes from farmers. There's no emergency rule. What happened in Edo? There's no emergency rule. What happened in other states that have just conducted their local government election and they took it all? You begin from there. Put emergency in Enugu. Put in Anambra. Put in Kwara, Sokoto. Put in Imo.
There was no chaos in those states.
Who said? Who said?
Nobody burnt any
Who
local
said?
government area.
Who said? There was chaos in Imo. And later he was here, you were saying they use IED for 2 policemen in Anambra. Was he not in this place? You were telling me it's a new development. What was the outcome? Anytime there's change of government, they do all this thing. I don't know whether it's a spiritual sacrifice for these politicians. Because we thought River State would come and go without blood. So if they have gotten the blood sacrifice they want, if they can now go and rest. But if they want more, River State have money. If you see the beautiful local government, the area they are burning, some state houses in Nigeria are not near that. So they know what is making them burn it because with the 13%, I think their own has reached 50% derivation. In 2 days, they will build the local government back. So go ahead and destroy, burn all the local governments in River State. It's only the people that allow the state to be killed. For who?
I assume you're saying that sarcastically. But
Well,
I mean,
if it's people have decided to burn their state, you are stopping them. And they say the strong people are setting fire. People have said they will set fire, and the reason to set fire has come. And then they are setting fire, and then nobody is talking. It's only this morning that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who saw this coming, is making statement. So what do you want me to say? Is it me that said they should set fire in the first place? When there's nothing, you cannot stop the fire. You help it.
Okay. All right, let's move ahead to another interesting one. 2027. Kwakwanso and Obi. Say Obi, Kwakwanso alliance proposal with failed. That's from APC. What do you think on that?
What do you want me to say before? It's obvious they are opposition, they are threatened. I hope that the Kwakwanso, Obi, and all that structure will make this prediction become a lie. There are this thing they say in my place. You don't want to fulfill, when somebody say you're a fool, you want to behave like a fool just to fulfill the book. Prove the person otherwise. If somebody has said this alliance will not work, let LP, let NMP, PP, and all the people involved make it work. And let's prove them wrong. So that they will know they are not God. They cannot predict. Is there political predictions? What makes them? Because they are setting confusion in LP, they have the moles they set up there to disorganize LP so that they will coast to home and dry. That's why they're coming out to make this statement. So it would be a shame if somebody wants to fulfill, somebody say you can't work, you allow it not to work. Then they will go and book and say, we said it. Prove them wrong. That's all I can say on that. If I am the person involved in this, even if it did not take me to anywhere, I will still make the alliance work to prove them wrong in the first place. Then we go to the polls. If what happened in 2023 happened again, the world will still put it on record. But instead of somebody sitting somewhere, after much kumu and goro, he makes some predictions, and I'll come here to begin to review that. I can as well say nothing happens in Nigeria and then it becomes a prediction. Nigeria will remain like that. It's not like once you look up the heaven, rain start falling. It's not. My father told me that. So the politicians are free to make predictions. So I don't even give impetus to that.
What was your take on the alliance of two of them?
The alliance, we said,
form
if it comes in true spirit,
strong...
we said it and gave it a lot of strength yesterday. If it comes in true spirit, it will gather mass and attract so much. It will show that really Nigerians are now ready to work together and not be divided along political line, along tribal line, along and the people, our common enemy, who are the satanic corrupt politicians, are gathering on that to still divide us further. It's a high time we sit up and then think together as a nation of goodwill people. And then go to war to retrieve Nigeria from the hands of corrupt and satanic people who are put us in this quagmire. If Nigerians are comfortable where they are, let's play along. Mine is a minor opinion. But if what we are seeing, the suffering, what I'm suffering, we need to sit up and then think together as a people, what can we do? It's only death that doesn't have solution. Only death. But that is a problem like this political thing. People can walk across the tribal line, across the religious line, across state lines, across the regional lines, form alliance that will become a mega force that will take back power and then dispose it. It's only when you get power you can dispose. Otherwise, all this one we are talking now, people, the man will hold yam and hold knife. Now in the cut and share. My people talk say onion when the man person who owns shares. And that's why we are here. So whatever they give to you, you take. You can only murmur and rumor and talk. Talk is not what they gave you is small in them. But when the thing is put up for a fight, if I think I can't get you alone, the power of 2, the power of 3, the power of 4 can defeat.
Okay. We have here that NAFDAC workers are embarking on strike. And not just that, NUT, NUP, they are coming out to say to the federal government, do not give our salary to local government, do not pay through local government. Do you think that all of these things happening at the same time, this is the right time for it, to come, looking at what we are going through in Nigeria?
If anybody says that their salary should not give in to local government, all of these things are under local government. What they should be planning now is how their salary should be regular and they get it. And all the allowances are regular and they get it. What the people of Nigeria, that's why I'm telling you that Nigerians, because they do not even understand what the LG autonomy is, and they think by state government holding their salary and paying them, that is better. It's the same salary. Whoever marries my mother becomes my father. I don't care as far as he gives me food to eat, he gives me the salary. So this idea, they are just bringing confusion. Whether it's local government that has to pay your salary, because the same money will still come there into local government. And then you've heard that some states in Nigeria are proposing that the local government people, when they get the money, they pay it to a joint account for disposition. Can you imagine such stupidity, selfishness? These are mind of not let go. Are they paying back into the state account of joint account that they don't know what to do with their money? That you are the most sensible person. Anybody in Nigeria can be a governor of any state. Why should you say local government people? And then let me tell the local government people that what they do not know. They think that all the states, the incumbents have accommodated it so that it will become business as usual. If you have been given local government chairmanship, whether it by endorsement or by election, watch out, because now your head you go take career. EFCC, it's easier. They are coming. This autonomy they are talking about, I'm revealing a secret for them. They are going to account for every kobo. Don't think that when they are sitting as a local government chairman, you'll be whispering with your principal, who is the governor, because they put you there. You'll be chopping local government money and not account for it. Most of them will go to jail that will never come out of, and the governors will not go for you. They can prep you up to bring the money assigned to your local government and give it to them so that they will return the power or come back on second tenure. It's you as the chief executive of your local government that will account for every money that comes to your local government. That's what they do not know coming. And the discussion is on and on and on, and then everybody is talking about local government autonomy and accountability. On Signature Television here, we bring a lot of experts to talk about it. And people think we are joking. It's what we have seen. It is not Uhuru. It's not business as usual. You can get endorsement, yes, from your principal. They sign you off. You just go just to feel that you want the election and you are back there. But remember, there's a proverb in Igbo land that says, Onye kela anobi, okelu mmụọ. Once they give you a portion of land in Igbo land as your own property, all the gods, all the spirits, all the ancestral spirits that are inhabiting that land is now your own, whether they are good or bad. Ikelu anobi, ikelu mmụọ. So ikelu local government, whichever local government, A, B, C, or D, ikelu go mmụọ. And when it comes to accountability, not only you go account. Governor will not come to your help. Even at that time, the FCC will come. If you are calling the governor, he will tell you his phone will be busy.
Right. I mean, we're almost wrapping up right now. We have just 3 minutes, but just to squeeze this in, there are also worries about increase in pump price of fuel. The government is finally deregulating the downstream sector, and NNPC is pulling away from the middleman's role it used to have between the marketers and Dangote. So marketers can now go directly to Dangote to get their fuel. So many people think that with this latest move, that pump price of fuel might go up again.
They've succeeded. I was shouting here. They have succeeded in messing the whole process up. So once they pull out, I've told him, I said, make the pump price 5,000 naira. NNPCL pull out. Let fuel in Nigeria go at 5,000 because you succeeded in modern things up. You never allow Dangote, all this Dangote, until Dangote sells fuel at 3,000 naira, everybody will rest. Sell it at 5, Nigeria will be better. But I'm saying, when you sell it 5,000, you come out on the street and see people, you will not say you are making a good. If you come out on the street, you didn't see. But to the policy maker, NNPCL, they will run through the windows. I guarantee them that. There is a limit to what you can do to Nigerians. Make it, all this gra-gra, they've been talking from both sides to put this price out. That's what. Did they allow Dangote for one day tell us how much a liter of fuel is refining come out of? They say they are middlemen for us. Before Dangote could do anything, they have gone there to say that the people who will be the sole buyer. Are they not sole buying again? Let them sole buy and sell at the price they want it to. So why are they pulling out? Oh God, God in heaven will take charge of things and judge. Both the living and the dead, though. That's how God judges.
That Dangote had at some point said that with what the NNPC said at the time, that they bought at 9 something, that they bought 15 minutes less, 15% less. That told Nigeria to buy.
Signature morning on Signature Television. We'll be moving ahead to a very interesting, discussion this morning. We'll be talking about building a tomorrow. Yeah, the impact of smart green schools on ENUGU State education. And we have our important guest in the studio right now, Professor Ndubueze Leonard Mba, Commissioner of Education, ENUGU, Nigeria. We also have him as Red Institute Fellow, ACLS Fellow, Professor African, Gender, Atlantic History, Sonny Buffalo. And of course, he's an actor, Emergent Masculinities University at Buffalo. Good morning, Professor, and welcome.
Good morning.
You don't mind if I call you Professor instead?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so
you
we're
can
talking.
also come in Dubois.
Okay, all right, you're welcome. So we're talking about green smart schools. Smart green schools? What are smart green schools to start with?
So the ENUGU Smart Green Schools, they're unique. They are the only smart green schools. They're the pioneer smart green schools in Africa. They're a product of the vision of our governor, the governor of ENUGU State, Barrister Peter Ndubuisumba. There has been ideas about smart schools percolating in Africa, in Nigeria. We know that the Nigerian government had a smart school project across the country. We have one in Enugu that never materialized. So the idea of smart school generally, as people think about it, is that you have a reliance on technologies, modern technologies, to improve teaching and learning, and prepare children with 21st century skills, inculcating them digital literacy and competency. So that is a generic idea of smart school. But the ENUGU Smart Green Schools are much more than that. They are part of a huge strategy to turn around the human capital of ENUGU people to achieve in 4 to 8 years what it might take a generation. To ordinarily achieve. Okay. I know I'm starting this way because the Smart Grade School is about, for the one in Enugu, is focused on experiential learning. Now, experiential learning is about changing the way that teaching is done by teachers and changing the way that learning is achieved by students. It's about moving from traditional lecture pedagogy and rote learning to a practice-based learning system. Now, in that, so you learn through experience, through practice. And as a teacher, you design projects so that your children can learn through practice. So that's a basic principle, right? Now, technology, of course, is part of that, right? Technology becomes part of that. You want your children not to draw a computer, but to actually use computers every day to learn. You want your teachers not to explain computer to children, but to use it to teach them. And not just using those computers to develop the tactile skills and motor skills of using a keyboard, but they become a window into a world of knowledge that from ENUGU, our children can connect to learning resources around the world. They can access Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, much as they can connect with peers. They can drop into classrooms in sister colleges and schools. They can have a professor of mechatronics, a basic teacher of robotics drop into their classroom and engage them. They can work in the Tomorrow is Here Innovation Studio on coding, on using Arduino kits to build lift gates and smart homes models. And they do that with their teachers. They can go into our lab, science lab, where you have a biology, chemistry, physics lab, and they can work on projects and build things. They can go to the smart farm and observe photosynthesis. They can take different seedlings, combine them to produce new species and watch it over time. They can have a smart farm that they have helped to set up. And right now, you know, for example, they have 60 crates of eggs from their farm that supplements their school feeding program. They can look at a situation where they have drilled a borehole, the state government has drilled a borehole, but they're not getting enough water. And so they go to their library and they research water solutions. And they identify a Canadian-based firm, write them a proposal, and the firm actually comes from Canada to Owo, tests the water sample that the students have sent from Owo to New York and to Canada, and because of that come to Owo and work with the students to come up with a water purification solution for the school. And now the children use that water purification solution as in every day. That's how they get their filtered water. So experiential learning, I know I started with real examples of what we're actually doing. So it's not like theory or hypothesis.
Absolutely.
We've done this for a year. And our children are doing this, our teachers are doing this. So experiential learning is designing a system of teaching, a system of education that empowers our children to become problem solvers, to start seeing themselves as solutions to community problems, to societal problems, and enabling them with this skill to be that solution, and helping them to understand that the problems that are solving are not just unique to their own environment. They're part of global problems that are tied to the sustainable development goals. So they're not learning the SDGs as theory. They're learning it by understanding how their own unique problems are part of a global problem. When they are solving a water problem, they know that it's part of sustainable environments, which is an SDG goal.
Wow, interesting.
So,
I mean, this particular smart green school schools can only come from one place, smart government. But there are issues. There are issues. I tell you what, I have seen videos and pictures of the school in Owo.
Yeah.
I understand that this is going to be a 260 smart green schools across the 260 wards of Enugu State.
Yes.
Some of them are still under construction.
Yeah.
How long would it take to construct others? Because it's not those students in Owo that deserves to be smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so is there a time lag as to establishment of all of these institutions in these localities?
Yeah.
And another thing, because of how you have explained this, it seems to me that's going to be quite expensive to enroll in that kind of school.
Okay.
So is there a way of, you know, subsidizing that? And beyond that, you have smart green schools. How about the teachers?
So those
Are you going
questions.
to-
Let
are
me
you-
take those, don't add more, so I don't forget them.
Okay.
Let me start with the middle question because it's the quickest response. And I want to look to camera. Where's camera? Because I want people to see this. This is very important. The Enugu Smart Green Schools are 100% free. You
Free of
asked about
charge.
subsidy.
Yeah.
Subsidy. No. The Enugu Smart Green Schools are 100% free.
For all the kids in
For
that
all
particular ward?
children in Enugu State, because the children, we have a smart school built in every ward. We have 260 wards spread across 17 local government areas. So every ward, which is the smallest political unit in the state, every ward has a smart school.
Okay.
And every smart school accommodates 840 children in that ward, from nursery 1 to nursery 3, primary 1 to primary 6, and just 1 to just 3. Now, Enugu State, therefore, is offering 12 years of free universal basic education. When I say free, I mean free. No tuition fee. No, the state government provides their uniforms, provides all their textbooks. The smart school is equipped with solar. They have power. It's equipped with internet. It's equipped with 21 interactive smart boards in 21 classrooms. It's equipped with 84 all-in-one computer systems. 40 that make up the digital library, 40 that make up the ICT, and 4 that are is 2 in the innovation studio, 1 in admin, and 1 in the school clinic. So I mentioned these things because we have 840 children in each smart school, because nursery 1 has 40 children, nursery 2 40, nursery 3 40, that's 120. Primary 1 to 6, that's basic 1 to 6, has A and B, each one 40. JS 1 to 3, that's basic 7 to 9, has A and B, each classroom 40. So you have 840 children. And every smart school has 40 smart teachers. 4 English language, 4 mathematics, 5 basic technology, 3 basic science. It goes like that, all the way to health and physical education, across the 14 basic education subjects of the Nigerian basic education curriculum.
Have they been trained?
They are smart teachers because they have been trained not just in digital literacy, but in experiential learning. And that is what distinguishes the ENUGU Smart Green Schools, experiential learning. It is a pedagogy that is being used innovatively in mostly American universities. It is imagine like a hyped up internship program where you prepare undergraduates, university undergraduates, with skills that now make them desirable by industries. Industries now target them and say, come to us because of their skills. And they have micro-credentials for those skill areas that they have accomplished. And they have, in those micro-credentials, projects that they have accomplished as proof of concept, as proof of competency. And those are digital badges that if you scan the QR code, their project comes up. If you click on it, their project comes up, and it's tied to competencies across the globe. So that model is what Enugu State has introduced to their basic education. Now the question is, what kind of governor thinks up, imagines the future of the children of his state and says that I want to take this type of upskilling and introduce it in foundational learning. We're not just talking about foundational numeracy and literacy. We are preparing Enugu children for the fourth industrial revolution. By year 2050, 60% of global youth will be in Africa. Almost 50% of that youth are Nigerians. The question is, how do you prepare African youth? How do you prepare Nigerian youth for an Afro future of the fourth industrial revolution? And the governor is saying, I want Enugu State children to be at the forefront. And that is why we have to invest in them through what he calls disruptive innovation. At the time when people are thinking about fixing leaking roofs and furnishing old, he's saying no. That model of 3 classroom blocks, poorly built, is not the environment. It's not the safe, conducive environment for imparting 21st century and fourth industrial revolution education to children. You need to build a smart school, one that can accommodate all the resources to deliver revolutionary basic education. That by the time a child finishes the ENUGU Smart Grade School and writes his basic education completion examination, that child can do a startup.
Okay.
That child can go to technical and vocational schools and develop a vocation. They can now go to senior secondary schools and prepare for a professional study at a university. But they will know exactly what their competencies are. And they will be productive members of society.
So how do you mobilize them? How do one qualify, to participate, or all of those to how are they going to be qualified to participate in this particular?
As teachers.
As teachers and as students, how do you get them?
So every child of school age in every ward is automatically qualified to be in the smart school.
Is
Whether
it a
you're
form
an
of
indigene or not.
registration?
It's for Enugu State, citizens.
Citizens, okay.
But what we've also witnessed is that over time, Enugu is Nigeria's education tourism destination. It didn't start today. Whether you live in Lagos, Abuja, or Kano, Nigeria sends their children to Enugu State to be educated. It didn't start now. And that will continue. So we know that eventually the demand will be so high that we'll have to build more smart schools. It is a no-brainer. It's going to happen, right? The smart school requires smart teachers. That's one of the questions he asked.
Yeah.
We've had to not only invest in upskilling our current public school teachers, but also opening up an opportunity for new forms of teachers, new kinds of teachers. People who, mechatronics, robotics, these are not part of the grade. So we've had to create them and be ready, move beyond the limits of the national curriculum, so we have to now identify teachers trained in these new emerging knowledge areas and bring them into the smart school.
So I'm also concerned about other teachers who are teaching in that sphere. I understand that you're not going to move away or chase away those teachers who also teach in those other schools in the ward, because they're still government schools. Yeah. Are you removing funding from those schools?
So what we're doing, is that because the smart schools are the new public schools.
Public schools.
They are the new government schools.
Okay,
They
so
are replacing
they're replacing the ones that are
yeah,
there.
the old
ones.
you know, primary schools that are dilapidated, that are
Okay.
old. So the ENUGU need to understand this, especially in the ENUGU. The world can listen, but the ENUGU need to understand that the smart schools are the new government public schools.
Okay. Okay, so but then the teachers who are not smart,
we're now training the teachers.
Okay, training the teachers,
preparing them for their CBT assessment.
Okay.
So October and November, we're going to be training existing 18,700 ENUGU public school teachers in digital literacy. Why we're investing in digital literacy for them is that we want them to be able to take the CBT, the computer-based test. Because with the pilot we did and the first phase of our recruitment, 26,000 candidates applied. 17,000 plus wrote the CBT.
Okay.
Only 4,253 passed. That is 84% failure and 16% pass. That told us a lot of things. There was a marginal percentage of teachers who we observed understood. If we had administered the exam, pen and paper, they could have passed. But because it was CBT,
digital,
many of them
could not
grabbed their mouse and they were moving it in the air. They couldn't even click through the assessment. This is true.
Okay.
I'm not saying it to shame anybody, but to acknowledge that the state government has a huge responsibility. The job, the task is an uphill one. Because on average, 80% of teachers in Nigeria have not received any professional development over the past 16 years. And our teachers do not have in Nigeria generally, the primary and secondary school teachers do not have a culture of personal investment in professional development, as you will find maybe in tertiary institutions, where a lecturer knows, oh, I have to attend professional conferences, I have to publish papers, I have to invest in myself, I have to, continue to pursue, So that incentive system for investment in personal professional development is not part of the cultural landscape of public pre-tertiary education in Nigeria. That's a fact. NUT will tell you this. The Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria will tell you this. Right? So what we're trying to do now is to build a new culture of teacher professionalization.
So if teachers are not, adapting to the system, what happens to them?
They are very open to the system. As you can imagine, people are scared when you introduce something new. Even when we introduce, digital teaching pedagogies in tertiary institutions, our distinguished professors, not just in Nigeria, even in my university at the State University of New York, as a professor, we are very resistant to
new things.
You say, I've been teaching this way, why would I change it? Right? Why are you making me switch from Moodle to Brightspace? This is annoying. Right? I thought, so people are not always, they don't warm up easily. But then the new thing, once they get used to it, is better than the old one, because it's an improvement. So we are also providing incentives to teachers. The package for smart school teachers is quite attractive. Apart from the new minimum wage, every smart school teacher is provided free housing.
Oh, wow.
In proximity to the smart school.
Okay.
So they have an apartment that's self-con, that is furnished, that has free running water, free solar, and free internet.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm just wondering before you continue, how
I'm going to ask whether you want to apply or something.
how can I apply? How do you know the question I wanted to ask? How do I apply?
So we're going to, I don't know if the student is ready to lose you. So we've just completed our first phase of recruitment, and so now we're going to start First, we wanted to start just training the 4,000. But based on what we saw from that assessment, we are driven by data. When we came in, first thing we did in November, we did a baseline assessment of numeracy and literacy across Enugu State. And what we saw was shocking. 50% of children in Enugu State who complete primary school could not read with comprehension.
Who complete primary school?
Yes, could not read with comprehension.
Wow.
Yes, it is shocking. Primary 6 students could not solve primary 4 level simple subtraction problems. That means they are 2 grades behind. The same thing in reading and writing. So that was when we saw that data, and we contracted an independent firm that had done it in other states and countries to come and do it, so that in fact we refused to at first accept, but we couldn't. It's just a fact. So we now, as a state government, the state governor said, okay, we have to confront this head on. Not just, the smart school is not about the building. The building looks pretty. It's not about the building. It's what happens inside. And then he said, okay, we're going to build a pilot and pilot it for 1 year, experiment solutions there, document the process and the outcomes, and then work on scaling the solutions across the state. And that's what OWO has been an experiment for a year.
Okay, just in OWO.
OWO was our experiment for 1 year. And you could not believe, 4 primary schools, 2 secondary schools. We put all the children in all the 4 primary schools and nursery schools. All the just 1 to 3 in the 2 secondary schools. We brought them to the smart school, 726 of them. And then we admitted more and got about 872. Primary 6 could not read and write, could not solve primary 2 mathematics. For almost 2 stems, we invested in Jolly Phonics, in foundational literacy and numeracy interventions, in circle time, in friendship tables, in just basics. And it worked like magic. It worked like magic. These are now the children who were just despondent. And now they are so, the change, the transformation. So these are the children that we met in classrooms that were dilapidated. They were, their uniforms were torn, they were malnourished. And after a year, they came to Akbara Square and they came first in a march past. The graduating class, after a year for BESE, did so well, they got automatic scholarship. 35 boys to CIC, 25 girls to HRC.
Wow. Okay, I'm just wondering, when you mention all of those things, I get so excited, but then I'm looking at how can you be able to assess some other people, because looking forward, there's going to be a time where before you enroll, before you can be able to participate, you must have to have, someone that has someone, that kind of connection in Nigerian mentality connection.
You need to, so what?
How do you assess the rural people that don't have, poor masses out there?
So the smart schools are
government schools
that are ward level. They are owned by the ward, like the Igwes, the PGs, the communities, the youth, the councillors, the local government chairman. Those are the communities, are the true owners of the smart schools. It's not government house, not Lion Building, it's not Pitamba. It's not because NSUBEB will manage those schools. Will continue to, pay the teachers, supervise them. The Ministry of Education will continue to oversee the professional development of the teachers. 40 hours minimum professional development every year. in partnerships with the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, we have built a center for we are building a center for experiential learning and innovation. Tech Fund is funding it at the ENUGU State College of Education Technique, opposite ShopRite. That is a center, 2,500 capacity center for teachers' professional training and development. It means that we want to make sure that even before students graduate from ESSET, the State Teachers Training College, that they have passed through the Smart School experience. That center is will be equipped with everything in the Smart School. So teachers will students will do their teaching practice there, be used to a smart classroom, all the resources there, be certified as smart teachers before they even graduate. So the sustainability solutions, the governor is already investing in the sustainability solutions. And the people from each ward, children from each ward, have priority access to the basic smart green school in their ward.
So when would all other schools come to?
So we are, right now we have about 10 schools that will be ready by the end of December.
By the end of this year?
Yes.
10 more schools?
10 more schools. And then by September 2025, all the other schools are supposed to be ready.
All? All 260?
Yes, and the pressure is on the contractors. They're getting all their money in time, and the state task force is on them to keep to their timeline.
Okay.
And Ministry of Works is on them to make sure that the quality of construction is met, while the Ministry of Education is focusing on timeline assurance. The Secretary of State Government is leading the state team. In every local government area, we have a task force, a local government task force that goes to the sites every day. The Ministry of Works has 60 engineers. Each of them assigned to about 4 sites that they report on every day. In the Data Control and Security Center at the Government House, all of the pictures and data and reports from all the sites are being uploaded. The governor has a direct line of sight on all of the 260 locations, right? So this is a priority for the state government to get the schools completed, equipped. The materials for equipping the smart schools, the 260 are already being procured. The smart boards are already being procured. The computers for the labs are already being procured.
How do you maintain it, in the future because of?
Yeah, so the other sustainability thing is that we've partnered with Heya Group, Global Heya, the parent company of Heya Tamuka and all that. So they're setting up an assembly plant in ENUGU for the assembly and repair of all of the electronic equipment that we have in our schools. And they're also going to train our young people to be able to assemble, repair. And ENUGU State is positioned to supply not just the southeast, but much of the country.
So what provisions are you making?
That is a sustainability.
Yeah, what provisions are you making for students or for children who are in special needs?
Yes.
You've not mentioned that part.
Thank you. The smart schools are inclusive schools. The smart schools are 100% inclusive. There is a Learners with Disability Resource Center in every smart school. There are resource persons in every smart school. Our learners with disabilities, whether they're visually impaired, they have auditory impairments, mobility impairments, they are accommodated in the smart school and they learn with their peers. We are working to ensure that all of the stigma and trauma that is embedded in educational institutions that will disrupt them and ensure an inclusive campus. Even the physical construction, we have ramps, all the floors are ramped, so anybody on a wheelchair can easily access all the facilities. At the smart school at Owo, we have a 100% visually impaired student. All his classmates know now how to move about with him in the school. He goes to refectory with his peers, he attends classes with his peers, he participates in all the experiential learning projects with his peers. It's quite amazing to see when they walk out of the classroom, they know they line up and he already has depending on his body for that day, he puts his hand on their right shoulder,
Okay.
and they move.
Okay.
And it's just amazing to see. Our best smart teacher for the 2023-2024 academic year is a gifted mathematician who is physically impaired. Right? So the state government has invested in their um, medical interventions. They're getting prosthetic legs. They're getting all manner of and it's already ongoing. But the idea is that it is an inclusive campus. An inclusive school means that you want to ensure equal support for all learners, irrespective of their health disabilities. And that means that if you're teaching digital literacy, you need to have not just braille machines and braille papers and a brailleist for a visually impaired person, right? You also need to invest in their digital training.
True.
And that is why you equip that resource center, and that's why you have resource persons. And every smart school has a clinic with two registered
I was
nurses.
about to ask you that. Yeah.
Okay.
And all of the health data of all the 840 children in that school are stored in that computer in the clinic. Their immunization records, their birth, data, their pre-existing conditions, their vitals. Every child every year receives eye examination, right? And so all of those things are documented, so that if, for example, tomorrow the World Health Organization wants to administer a new immunization, and they want to know which children have been vaccinated against a smallpox or measles or something, we can just call up the data and push it to the Ministry of Health. So, every year we spend millions of naira on school census. Now we are using an ENUGU education management system, a digital management system that is backed by artificial intelligence, and that is what we use to run and manage all of the smart schools.
Right.
I have a dashboard. From that dashboard I can see, because teachers use NMs to take attendance online, to register assessment data, to develop their own scheme of work and lesson plans with AI. So I can see all of the data
From your
on my
office.
dashboard in the morning. On my phone, I can tell you how many children I know right now, how many children are absent, how many teachers are there, how many teachers have administered their continuous assessment.
Right. Just two quick questions, because we're wrapping up now. The first one is, how does this align with the governor's movement from the economy of this?
That reaches everybody. So that achieving 0% poverty headcount index requires massive investment in education of our children. That's one. For you to achieve that growth from $4.4 billion GDP to $30 billion GDP, you need a skilled workforce. Not just a skilled workforce for traditional modes of economic production, but also for emerging economies. And that is why the smart school is so critical to achieving that economic growth projection. Not just now, but for the long term. And every child that graduates from a smart school in the near future will transition into one of 8 technical and vocational schools, or one of 17 smart senior secondary schools in Enugu State. So the governor, I think, in my assessment, the greatest legacy accomplishment and the greatest gift to a generation is this education reform.
So how do you see the smart school initiative in the next decade? How do you see the outcome, and how do you measure success?
I want to see 8,400 times 260 of children in Enugu State enrolled in 260 smart schools. I want to see 40 times 260 teachers, smart teachers, delivering experiential learning across the smart schools. When that day comes, it means that people would leave Enugu, move back to their communities. Their children will be assured that they are attending the best school in Nigeria. They can start investing in their development of their communities. That Japa will not be moving physically elsewhere, but Japaing your own skills.
Outside. Yeah, I mean, it sounds really, really fantastic.
I'm looking forward to that.
Right. I'm wondering why it's not also replicated in the tertiary institution, because after your secondary school, what happens? Are you going to go to a moribund or
Very important question.
So
we have started that. We have started
So
that as
you
well.
just
So
have
if
to
you
go.
notice, we've received the NUC accreditation for mechatronics and robotics at IMT at ASUT.
Okay.
We are investing in the radical transformation of the Enugu State College of Education Technical, the ESPOLI, Iwolo College of Agriculture is set to become a University of Agriculture.
Okay, just 1 minute, just
So
finish up.
there is a massive investment as well in transforming our tertiary institutions.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner for Education, Enugu State, Professor Ndubueze. Thank you so much for your
It's a
time.
pleasure.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me.
All right.
And thank you to our governor.
Very important.
Yeah, thank you to our governor. He's doing a marvelous job.
All right, we're headed for a short break. We'll be back after this. Just stay with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome back. This is the Signature Morning on Signature Television. You have been, hanging out there with us, and of course, we'll be moving ahead to another segment where we'll be discussing increased women involvement in drug trafficking. Yes, and this morning we have in our studio Olunwa. Owunwa, I hope I get that right. Ibezim, that's the Deputy Commander, NDLEA, Enugu State Command. Welcome, sir. I hope I didn't murder your name anyways.
It's permissible.
Good morning and welcome, sir. Okay, we'll be having this trend, of course, even in our newspaper headlines. We had yesterday, yes, a woman involvement in drug trafficking, about 9 billion, what, I don't know. So I want to actually ask, what is happening? What's the new trend? How are you seeing the new trend? Is it that this is a new way, for people to get out of hardship and hunger?
Thank you very much. I consider my being here not just a mere coincidence, but very timely. And I just want to say straight out that it's not necessary for us to start playing the ostrich and pretend it's not happening. It is terrible. And unfortunately, those things we hold very dear, women are custodians of our values, is grossly being eroded. And these days, we're getting more and more disturbing news of women overtaking men in the drug business. But I want to equally tell you that it did not start today. It's been a trend that we have not taken seriously. Unfortunately, in Edo and Delta, we do apologies to those affected. Most homes you go to, the families rally around and send their daughters abroad to go and sell drugs. Italy, Germany, the statistics are there. In fact, for those that have not been able to send their daughters to those countries, they are being attacked negatively of not keying into the investment. And you will agree with me that this issue of codeine and tramadol, how was it discovered that it was a problem? It was amongst a gathering of a prominent Kano politician that was having a get-together in his house. Then, of course, the women will gather somewhere. So while they were gathering and enjoying, phone was missing. So they said, no, they need to search for the phone. In the course of the search, the law enforcement people discovered that the women had large quantities of codeine and this cough syrup laced with codeine. And the enormity of it was so much, it could not be concealed. That was when the alarm came out. And they started checking why the codeine, why the cough syrup with codeine. They now saw that when consumed, that it keeps them on, since they can't smoke or drink. So within themselves, they consume codeine, cough syrup with codeine. And they now looked at the statistics. It was brought to the house, the problem, and they now did a survey and discovered that daily, 2 million women in Kano take drugs, especially the codeine and tramadol. Then in Jigawa, every day, 1 million women, as it is, as I'm talking with you. Is that not disturbing? It's
Exactly.
disturbing.
But I'm stunned by these revelations that you're putting.
You have to. You should.
What does it help them do? And secondly, I just wanted to find out again, because maybe I missed that particular line you said. This was house tramadol and syrup was found out to be prevalent amongst youths in the north. Is it a
Amongst
recent
women.
amongst women? Is it a recent happening? When was this?
That was 2008.
2008.
2008 is 2018. Sorry,
2018.
2018.
This was how NDLA found out that women take these drugs.
This is how the whole society of Nigeria found out. Not only NDLA, but we took it a step further and started, first of all, by pursuing legislation for it to be a controlled substance when we knew it was actually a problem. And it was substance subject to high abuse and intoxication.
So what does it help these women do?
I'm not a woman. And I don't think tramadol, but from the interviews and those we have prosecuted, is another way of getting high.
Just to get high?
Well, the same reason people take cannabis, people take methamphetamine, that's crystal ice in our local palace, Oromin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the legislation are three men, with due apologies too, in the north. The women are not, because of the religion, they are not allowed certain things. But within them and their cluster, the way they discovered that this thing, that they could use it to get high, I don't know. But as I tell you, the whole northern states, they have taken it to the floor of the House of Assembly. And what is required is to create effective awareness on the dangers. Because some of these women don't know.
The dangers?
The dangers, definitely. They don't know. So they just take it because, the women are always together and it's a social gathering. And they do it. So the northern senators and House of, I think one Alaji Dodo, if I'm not mistaken, brought it to the House, and over 40 something members put it up that there is need to really, really look into it. Imagine consuming 2 million of tramadol every day in a state.
Every day.
So it's quite disturbing.
Wow.
Can you provide the type of the profiles? Is it per age? What age do you think?
Okay, between the ages of 16 to 45.
Wow.
These are the healthy, working
Women.
and viable age being destroyed.
I mean, to look at it from a broader perspective, I mean, Kano is a very religious state. And of course, for a woman at that period, usually on their hijab, and then you wonder, this number is quite shocking. I've never heard a thing like this before. But I'm just wondering, you said Kano is 2 million, Jigawa is 1 million, and I'm wondering, what would Lagos be? What would a place like Oyo be, and what would a place like Rivers be? It's actually a problem. Where do we go from here?
Beautiful. I'll just briefly give you a practical experience. When I discovered what I did, unfortunately, I went into the inner part of my office. I cried. I've always been on the side of operations before I got into counseling. Incidentally, I was head of strike force, Lagos State. On this fateful day, we went for operations. Usually I lead my operations. We arrested a young girl somewhere around Ojodu. Were arrested in a joint. We went to raid a joint. And in the joint, we arrested a girl amongst other young men. When we got to my office, we now discovered that this girl, as at then, was 16 years old, 15 plus. And she was in a boarding school somewhere around there. It was on a Friday. She went on that Friday to stay with the boyfriend, whom we equally arrested. That night, she followed the boyfriend to go and buy cannabis, which she said she's been smoking for the past 2 years. Wow. At 15 plus. And watch out, she was built to ride jump the next day, Saturday. And I now asked her, your parents, are they aware? She said no. And as I am the only daughter, that if we let the parents know that the mother will commit suicide. I was now left between my professional ethics and the human side of it. And I said, well, you don't throw away the baby with the dirty water. I recommended to my commander, let us give her administrative bail. Let her go and write her jump. We held the boyfriend down because of the quantity of cannabis we saw with him. We collected the details. She wrote jump the next day. We now traced the mom and called her. She came to office at Ikeja, Nako. We asked her to ask the daughter to come. They now went to bring the daughter. When they brought the daughter to office, the girl almost passed out. But we didn't have any choice but to open up to the mother. And the mother was shocked. So from this scenario, 15 or 16-year-old girl, secondary school. I'm not a politician, and I've never ascribed to be one. There's something the First Lady of ENUGU State has initiated and is working. She says it's a foundation for the girl child, Costos Foundation. And not less than 2 times, June 26th, she partnered with us to get a lot of girls from the secondary school to do a sensitization road walk. Positive. Thumbs up for her. But it goes much more than that. So she needs to step up on it and not leave it to her aides. But what impressed me was that she was part of that road walk from beginning to end. I was actually impressed. And since then, for whatever reasons, she has not gotten across to us. But I will equally advise that she puts her people on ground. The drug menace, let us narrow it down to ENUGU. For the girl child, it is bad enough.
It is.
As I speak with you, a recent survey says that as of today, over 400,000 youths in ENUGU are abusing drugs.
400,000.
400,000 now. According to P2B, the records are there. Go and verify. These things are domiciled in public domain. We don't have reasons to falsify or exaggerate figures. But
By youth, you mean both men and women, boys
both
and
men
girls?
and women.
Okay.
But I want to tell you that amongst this figure, about 48% are women.
Wow.
48% in ENUGU State. And unfortunately, it has You know, when something bad crops up, it becomes a multi-headed hydra. Drug abuse now has given birth to cultism amongst girls in secondary schools. I wouldn't want to name the schools for obvious reasons. But the mechanism the state government have, they should be able to identify such schools in Enugu
Well, you're
State.
partnering with the
You're
First
the
Lady. I mean, you
deputy,
should
yeah.
have just mentioned it to her. And so,
I said
For investigation
a
purposes.
partnership about 2 times road work. And I said since then, they have not gotten
reached out.
to NDLA.
So-
It's something that needs to be,
The-
it's a routine
the
thing.
routine.
It's not, it's a routine thing. I have my job to do. I don't think it will be
Yes.
proper for me every day. I go and start hanging around government's house. And I can't
Okay,
do
so
that.
let's talk about the role of NDLEA. What measures are you putting in place, to address this rising involvement of women in trafficking of drugs?
Thank you very much. I would have been disappointed if you didn't ask me. I want to tell you for free that we are very much on top of it. As I speak with you, the Honorable Chairman Chief Executive, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, have put up a 5-year drug control master plan scheme from 2000, OH, to 2021 to 2025.
Okay.
5-year master plan. And the aim, just like this year's United Nations theme, we want to deal more on counseling. It is cheaper to counsel people, let them know the dangers of drugs, than to arrest and use taxpayers' money and prosecute. And that is the 80% vision of the Honorable Chairman, which my state commander is 100% has keyed in. Mr. Abel Sunu Wadahi, Commander of Narcotics, Enugu State Commander. He has made sure that at least every week we carry out a minimum of 5 sensitization in schools and major parts of Enugu State from our meager resources from NDLA. I don't know if you understand what I've said.
I'll get you.
From the little, maybe, allowances to run his office, he uses it to do sensitization, at least 5 every week, which is part of what I'm doing here. He fueled the Jeep and made sure we have come. So what I will suggest, we are not really keen on stuffing ourselves with suspects. We are more interested in letting people know the dangers embedded, inherent in this hideous crime. And we are succeeding. Initially, we had State Drug Abuse Control Committee, which the First Lady is heading. But it has not been very active, not only in Enugu State, but across. And he now looked, what do we do? The chairman have now trickled it down to local government drug abuse control committee, with the wife of the local government chairpersons as head. Then the women leaders, councillors, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and all that. So the thing is trickling down to almost the nooks and crannies. Fortunately, before this is my little promotion, I was the immediate past area commander, Oji River. And before it was comprising of 2 or 3 local governments. But the chairman is saying no. That for us to make effective impact, all the local governments now must have NDLE officers, and it's paying. And a tasking order too, that all the area command must carry out sensitization in schools and relevant places.
I just wanted to ask this because, again, many people in some quarters will say that the fight against drug abuse is one that is, yes, important, but it does look like it will not really yield the fruit, maximum fruit, that more people are being exposed to drug every single day. They gave example of, for instance, US, UK, in other countries where you can buy cannabis across the counter. And even the governor of Ondo State, God bless his soul, Akeredolu, at some point was advocating for, to legalize drugs. I mean,
and there's another person you have not mentioned, Showore. No, I mean, this is the public domain.
Yes, yes.
Showore is an advocate, yes.
So I'm just wondering, like, to what extent, really, how is the NDLA, reacting to that thought about legalizing a drug, and at the same time, because again, there are some aspects of that drug that is used to even do our medicine today. So I'm just wondering, how is the NDLA reacting to these?
Beautiful. I will equally tell you categorically, without missing words, we are totally against legalizing those things they call medical cannabis. Or what.
Welcome to Southeast News. I am Barry Kumo Ado. It started as a wet day, got sunny, and it's getting better. The headlines: 10 more smart schools to be completed by December in ENUGU. Ezinano community accuses police of harassment in Anambra. Fuel prices drop in Abia. Stay tuned for details. The Enugu state government says 10 more smart schools in the state will be completed by December this year. State Commissioner for Education, Professor Ndubweze Mba, featured on Signature Morning on Signature TV, said that the smart schools, which have been built in all the 17 local government areas in the state, were fully equipped with provisions for free textbooks, solar system, and clinics, among other facilities. Mba said each of the smart schools can accommodate at least 840 children, and that every child of school age, including the virtually impaired, would be accommodated in the schools. The Commission advised the teachers to invest in themselves by acquiring training in information communication technology to make them suitable for the smart school that will, in due course, replace the conventional public schools.
Every ward, which is the smallest political unit in the state, every ward has a smart school. And every smart school accommodates 840 children in that ward, from nursery 1 to nursery 3, primary 1 to primary 6, and JES 1 to JES 3. Now, Enugu State, therefore, is offering 12 years of free universal basic education. When I say free, I mean free. No tuition fee, no. The state government provides their uniforms, provides all their textbooks. The smart school is equipped with solar. They have power. It's equipped with internet. It's equipped with 21 interactive smart boards in 21 classrooms. So experiential learning is designing a system of teaching, a system of education that empowers our children to become problem solvers, to start seeing themselves as solutions to community problems, to societal problems, and enabling them with the skill to be that solution, and helping them to understand that the problems that are solving are not just unique to their own environment. They're part of global problems that are tied to the Sustainable Development Goals. So they're not learning the SDGs as theory. They're learning it by understanding how their own unique problems are part of a global problem. When they are solving a water problem, they know that it's part of sustainable environments, which is an SDG goal. Data Control and Security Center at the Government House. All of the pictures and data and reports from all the sites are being uploaded. The governor has a direct line of sight on all of the 260 locations. The smart schools are 100% inclusive. There is a Learners with Disability Resource Center in every smart school.
Okay.
There are resource persons in every smart school. Our learners with disabilities, whether they're visually impaired, they have auditory impairments, mobility impairments, they are accommodated in the smart school and they learn with their peers. We are working to ensure that all of the stigma and trauma that is embedded in the educational institutions that we disrupt them and ensure an inclusive campus. Even the physical construction, we have ramps, all the floors are ramped, so anybody on a wheelchair can easily access all the facilities. At the Smart School at Owo, we have a 100% visually impaired student.
In Abia State, the pump price of fuel has reduced from 1,300 and 1,350 to between 1,200 and 1,150 naira. This is following Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation opening its portal for direct request and payment for fuel from members of Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. Fuel situation in the state indicates that some petroleum marketers in Aba and Umuahia have started lifting fuel directly from a NNPC, thereby making the price of a product come down. In an interview in the early hours on Monday, the executive chairman of IPMA and Aba branch, Mazi Oliver Okolo, explained the reason for the reduction in price, stating that the supply flow from the NNPC has improved and the price will go down further. According to Okolo, the NNPC, the state government and the federal government can join hands with IPMAN and get the products to their Aba depot, whether imported or refined at the Port Harcourt refinery. He also appealed to the state government and NPC to see how they can bring the products to Aba depot and also fix the road going to the depot. The immediate past managing director and chief executive officer of National Inland Waterways Authority, George Moalu, has declared his ambition to run for the 2025 governorship election in Anambra State under the platform of a Labour Party. Moalu said he is contesting a position to address insecurity, unemployment, and other socio-economic challenges currently facing the state. He stated this while briefing journalists at his home in Nnewi on Saturday. Moalu, who recently resigned from the All Progressive Congress, APC, and on October 1st joined the Labour Party, acknowledged that there is a zoning arrangement in the state and that Anambra South, where he and Soludo hails from, is favoured for the contest. Insisted that if he wins, he will serve just one term in order to finish Anambra South's turn before Anambra Central takes over. Still in Anambra State, Ezinano community in Awka South local government area has expressed fear over the invasion of their community by heavily armed security operatives. Signature TV gathered that the residents were living in fear as the security operatives continue to harass and intimidate them over disputed land in the community. Correspondent gathered that the disputed land is between the people of Ezinano community and a neighboring community, both in Awka South local government area, Both communities are laying claims to the disputed land. Speaking in separate interviews, residents said there was tension in the community when heavily armed men of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the State Police Command invaded the area and started shooting without notice. The development, according to them, followed a siege on their community land by heavily armed men of the State Police Command. Community leader, who identified himself as Uchena, said the ugly shooting incident occurred on Friday and Saturday on the disputed land between the people of Izinano and their neighbors. Trouble started when the people of Izinano community arrived at the land on hearing that members of the other community had started setting up perimeter fences, erosion channels, gutter, and other structures on the land without recourse to the pending case in court, but only to face police that have been deployed to the area to perfect their crimes. Farmer and resident of the community, Gloria Chiama, called on the relevant authorities to caution the police, saying the police should not meddle in the matters of a land dispute between communities and individuals. Rather, they should maintain law and order. Correspondent reports that elders and leaders of the Izinano community earlier written a petition dated September 11, 2024, to the chairman of a police service commission, which was copied to the presidency, Inspector General of Police, Complaint Response Unit of the Police Force Headquarters, Abuja, Commissioner of Police, Anambra State, against a senior police officer of alleged interference on the same land. When contacted on the development, the Police Public Relations Officer of the Anambra State Command, Tochukwu Ikenga, urged the leaders and people of Izinano community to come forward with their complaints to the police in the state. Still in Anambra State, the police say they have thwarted a kidnap attempt on a foreign national by a suspected armed secessionists in Obonka, Orumba South local government area. Statement signed by the Anambra State Police Public Relations Officer Tochukwu Ikenga said police operatives engaged the hoodlums in a gun battle early on Sunday morning, saving a foreigner with 2 personnel sustaining bullet wounds. Ikenga said the wounded officers are stable and receiving treatment in a hospital, while operations are ongoing in the area for the possible arrest of the armed men. Ikenga also disclosed that police operatives attached to Nimo police station discovered 4 lifeless bodies of young men in a pool of blood with suspected multiple gunshot injuries lying on the road at Norfia, Jikoka local government area of Anambra State. Said the victims, whose bodies have been deposited at the morgue, were later identified as one Ebuka Kenta of Umeme village, Norfia, Natwaya Jr., also known as Starboy of Umeme village, Norfia, and Yemena, also known as Osama of Umariam village, Norfia, and one Ahmed Awal. Information from eyewitness and some villagers alleged that the victims are known for their nefarious activities and are always in rivalry with another cult group in the area. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, Nahe Itam, has ordered the immediate investigation into the gruesome murder of a 17-year-old girl for suspected ritual purposes. The girl, whose lifeless body was found in a bush at Omasi in Ayamelum local government area of the state on Sunday evening, was later identified as Chinasa Adigwe from Umeje community. According to the statement, a private parts were cut off in a bush at Omasi before police were alerted. The member representing Enugu North and South constituency in the House of Representatives, Chimobi Atu, has assured Nigerians that an ongoing amendment to the country's electoral law would ensure true democracy at the grassroots. Said the conduct of local government elections by various state independent electoral commissions were controlled by the state governors has denied the people the much desired development. Correspondent Chinemere Mikegbunam with a chat with a lawmaker at the Sigwaji hometown in Enugu South local government area now reports.
A recent Supreme Court judgment that local governments in the country without elected executives should not receive allocations from the Federation accounts has put many state governments on their toes. As many as 4 states conducted their local government elections over the weekend, even though the election in Rivers State dominated media attention, apparently as a result of power struggle in the state. And even as other states make efforts to institute democratically elected councils, the allegation of imposition of candidates by state governors on the electorate is still rife. But a member of the House of Representatives, Chimobi Ato, said the issue is receiving the attention of the National Assembly. He said the local government election should be freed from the control of state governments.
That is why I say it's more better they will have a national independent electoral commission that will handle the local government. See, if we don't get it right in local government, all these things we are doing in state and federal government will not. Do you know that sometimes federal government will give prerogative to local government and they don't share it? Do you know that local government got their direct allocation from federal? But you see there's many roads in rural areas. It's not tied. You still see that people in rural areas are suffering. Not health care for them. They want everything to work. And we have 3 tiers of government. Federal, state, and local government. How many is working? Most people expect us as the lawmakers to tie road. Most people expect us as a lawmaker to put pipe-borne water. Most people, but is it part of our duty as a lawmaker? Our duty is to make laws. Oversight it is the executive. But because most of them failed from the local government. So the pressure, the expectations from people, because the lawmakers are more closer to the people. That is why they expect us to do magic. In a little way, we'll go and talk to the executive. The ones we can, we'll bring it to the people. But it's not part of our job.
Ato emphasized the need to ensure that leaders are elected by the people based on their capacity and not their parties.
The change, people are tired of suffering. People are tired of insecurity. People are tired of fuel scarcity and the increase in price. People are tired of unemployment. People are tired of lack of food in the society. Nothing is working, both in health sector. It's not about the party. It's about what Nigeria needs.
A new crop of local government chairmen and councillors, all belonging to the ruling People's Democratic Party, took over the 17 local government areas of ENUGU State, recently following the conduct of the council elections. The same pattern also plays out in several states where the ruling parties take control of the councils. Expectations are high that the issue of constitutional amendment that will strip the state's independent electoral commissions of the power to conduct local government elections will come into force sooner than later to ensure the enthronement of true democracy. Chinemerem Ikebunam, Signature TV News.
Still in Enugu State, the House of Representatives Committee on Ecological Funds, led by the Chairman, House Committee on Ecological Funds, Aminu Jaji, has pledged to address ecological challenges that ravage communities in the country. The Chairman made a pledge when he led other members to assess the impact of flooding in some communities in Enugu State on Monday. Communities include Amechi Dodo, Amauza Mamagunze, Ihookpara and Nkerefi communities in Kano East, Anumpo, Okpanko, Oduma, and Nenwe in Anirid Council areas. Judge explained that they decided to embark on a fact-finding visit to see things for themselves. He assured that substantial funds will be made available to address the situation. He also assured that the committee will deviate from the tradition of giving bit by bit to the states to address the challenges. Addressing newsmen, the coordinator, Enugu State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, Mrs. Chinasamba, who accompanied the team, narrated how flooding and other ecological issues had caused devastation in parts of the state. The coordinator stressed that people in the affected areas were passing through difficulties because their houses and means of livelihood had been destroyed. She called on the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to swiftly come to the aid of affected people of the state to ameliorate their pains. Mba urged the agency to find lasting solutions to some of the ecological challenges affecting the state. That's the news for now. When we return, we'll start our conversations. Stay with us. It's time for the conversation. And today we're looking at, yes, that's what we're looking at, something that's everywhere. Yet sometimes it does appear as if we don't see it. I know you know what it is, but sometimes it is like a puzzle. You hear somebody complain and you say, this one to complain self. Or sometimes you hear somebody talk about how difficult it is for them to get their rights, or get people to fight for their rights, or get people to even understand what they are going through. You got it right. Human rights. When you talk about human rights, you talk about the United Nations Convention. You talk about every country in the world signing up to it. But after that, what happens to you or myself even when our rights are abused? How do we get redress? What do we do? If we look at the statistics, it's not a good sign, because the number of people that get abused almost each day, the figure seems to be humongous by the time you calculate year in, year out. And then at the end of the day, you will discover that the number of cases where you have people intervene and get results or solutions for are just a tiny little bit compared to those who have even forgotten that they had no issue before they were thrown into detention and other places. Anyway, the conversation is not about me, it's about us. And with me is Onyedika Abo. He's a human rights activist, and you're welcome, Onyeka. Welcome to Southeast News.
Thank you very much, Barry.
Onyeka, I don't need to tell you how you do your job.
Okay.
And given the situation in present-day Nigeria, where there are various forms of rights abuses, how can one be opportune to approach, let's say, an organization that say they cater for people whose rights have been abused? Let's start with that.
Okay, in the cases of approaching organizations or individuals, as the case may be, for interventions in cases of human rights, it has to do with how much knowledge the person has, because in most cases there are jamboree and disco light display by a lot of people who speak long English and do videos and try to make people these make-believe videos, and if you're not careful, you would readily think, okay, this person means well. When I talk about knowledge, it is a case of if you have heard a case of human rights being reported, it doesn't have to be you at first. Following up to be sure that this case was actually resolved, because there are so many cases that will receive media attention. Some of them will trend. You'll see people saying, okay, I will get involved. Some people will even promise money. I'll make sure we take the young care of this. After a long while, not many people would have this attitude of saying, come on, what eventually happened to this person? Because I believe very strongly that most of the cases of human rights abuse we see on the news and the ones that are unreported are cases that can be solved even before they happen. If you have a proactive government, you would have foreseen that, okay, in case a person does this, this is how to be quick on arresting the situation, in case a person does this. But because we don't have it, if you are, in my personal experience, when I encourage people who get involved in cases of abuse or violation, that you can actually come for training. We have free ones, we have slightly paid, not organized by me, but because of some of the organizations I know, and I know that the quality of what they give is whatever a person would pay. You hear excuses of, when people are in their situation, they are willing to take 12 classes a day. But once the problem is solved, if you're begging the person, you need to get acquainted. That's why I gave the emphasis on knowledge. It's very important. If, any person can be emotional or sentimental about things, but if you have this basic knowledge of your basic and fundamental rights, knowledge of how to go about it, knowledge of what to do if the police is confronting you in an undeserving manner, knowledge of how to seek for redress, knowledge of all these things. And like in your question, of people who are really sincerely doing this, because a lot of people will claim it, will play around it, because we know that Nigerians flow with whatsoever is trending. So a lot of people want to identify, and then before you know it, not many people will remember that there are cases that came up in the news that we're not hearing anything about again. So if you have these knowledges, and then you now know where exactly to go. In my own suggestion or recommendation, I would say not giving up also, because I've been involved in a lot of cases where even the victim will be the one begging you, let's just leave it to God. And that's one of the most annoying lines I've heard around this part of the world. Leaving it to God is the reason why there is reputation of abuses, violation, infringement, and what have you. So if you know where to go, not just because the person or the people sound well, but because there are records of proven cases of human rights redress, that's the best approach to it. Because if not, a lot of people have gone to report their cases and become even more victimized.
I was just going to ask you that, because you did say knowledge, and knowledge is all-encompassing. We started with knowledge of where to go to.
Okay.
But there is also the knowledge of, are you even told the truth? You have reached out, and the person says, oh, we can handle this case. After 6 months, probably you were even given the impression this matter is a week. In a week, it's done and dusted. After 6 months, the person doesn't even have money, probably not livelihood. And then every day you tell him, you need to bring transportation for A, B, C, or D. And at the end, what do you think he will do? He will succumb by saying, let's leave this matter. Because the pressures are so much. So how can we begin to easily, through knowledge again, identify those who are actually ready to assist victims of human rights abuses and those who just want to trend?
Okay, in the case of a person who will be delaying the intervention, asking for money and what have you, I have been in the arena of human rights intervention, mediation, and prosecution of those who abuse rights for at least more than a decade and a half now. There are challenges of who the person who wants to take up this case, if he's an activist, an advocate, or just a sympathizer, how much is he self-empowered? How much independent is he? Is he working in an organization where he's paid? Or some of these organizations, I know of organizations that will take up these cases for free. But in most cases, they are not as efficient as those who would say, register with a token, pay a certain amount that will cover the transportation. If the organization needs to write people who are who is a suspect and all that, I will advocate here that it's important to know that you need resources to run around for some of these things. So if it's an independent person who is just doing it willingly, he is using his or her own money or what have you, but he would do it at his leisure. If he has a business and have an intervention, he won't leave the business and go for the intervention because he needs money to continue to offer this help and then take care of himself. In cases of the reference you made, where from 1 week it gets to 6 weeks, sometimes even 6 months, and the person will now start staying, leaving it to God, what would be best brought into consideration here is how much of a support. I know a human rights organization in ENUGU here that has refused to write for donors fund, refused to apply for even community support from people around, reason being that his society in terms of human rights. The best, with the way I rate people, whether you are the wealthiest or the most biggest philanthropist, the way I rate governments also, the way I rate organizations, including churches, is what percentage of your earnings or what you have is mapped out for human rights intervention and enlightenment. Because there are cases where people, if I see a situation that will end up being a human rights violation and abuse, I will know. And in so many cases, if I wade into it and arrest it before it happened, it doesn't carry so much weight like when you have allowed it to happen. Somebody was telling me not very long ago that the best thing is to allow these things happen, that people appreciate it more. There's a saying in my local language that when you want to help a kingsman of people who are dragging him, maybe because he's owing them or for anything, do not bring that intervention before they drag him out of his father's compound. Because if you do that, he will not appreciate it. It's a common saying, but in most cases, I also think that that's equally where knowledge has another role to play. Because there are a few people, they might be very small in number, who will appreciate even if you've come at the verge of the people trying to hold him. It doesn't even need to have been dragging. But most people who are swayed by frivolities would say, even if you didn't come, these people wouldn't even have taken me beyond the boundaries of my father's compound. But when they have taken him out and he's now openly shouting for help, then you can now intervene. It is very unfortunate, but we ought to, even if not for any other thing, for the benefit of this program, ought to be a proactive society in terms of human rights, protection of human rights, because there are so many people who will be feeling, I'm not the one involved. You know, a lot of people are very comfortable. I've been with some very, very wealthy friends when I would receive calls of, like there was a situation of even a life-threatening situation. They were calling me. There are about 4 people attacking this boy. He's lying in the pool of his blood. I told some of these very comfortable friends, let's go. They were all, you and all this, they left it. It was last year, last 2 years. From that time till now, I can tell you that about 3 or 4 of them has gotten into very dicey situation, and they're equally expecting me. So if you feel that it is not you today, okay, they can, when they are done with the people that are available for them to abuse their rights, they look around, maybe it might be the next person. In practical life experience, I've had cases where I begged people, first, know what you ought to do when these things happen, and they feel very busy. They feel, what's the need, who will even, until it happens to them, they'll be like, I can't believe that. Sometimes it might be the police. I can't believe that there will be a time in this country, but it happens. So let us be a society that are equipped with all the knowledge, and then have network of people who, because of them, you will not abuse the right of any person around where they are. It will help to solve this problem. It will be fun. They happen because they say to be forewarned is to be forearmed.
Now, well done. But I like the idea of knowledge. But I keep thinking, as you were talking, I keep asking, this knowledge, where do we start to impact it? From what age or what level? You know, you gave an example of something in your dialect talking about when to help a kinsman. And now, if we go back to your community or any other community in the Southeast, you'll discover that the average person in each of these communities has limited knowledge when it comes to what to do when your rights are being abused. They even find it difficult to begin to call for help immediately, because the first thing that comes to their mind is, these people want to disgrace me. They want to put me to shame. And it's not looking at addressing his rights that are being abused. So at what point do we begin to tell ourselves that knowledge, to use the old saying, which is still relevant, is power?
Okay, for individuals, self-purpose, there's no time that is very early. At any point in time, you have a thought of it. For the upcoming generation, if you have children, if you have access to, or you're part of a community, you're part of a church, is to start early enough. Because most of the times when I talk about this knowledge, because I lay emphasis on this knowledge a lot, because without knowledge, the scriptures say the people perish. And they say, in knowing, you shall be set free. You shall know the truth. So it's very important that we know. And when I emphasize about knowledge most of the time, people will be asking me the questions similar to the ones you ask. So if you don't know, where do you get it from? And all that. Nobody, I didn't study human rights as a course. Nobody had the pleasure of begging me. The first thing that took me off the ignorance was when I stumbled into a case of a minor and an adult, and what the parents of the minor suffered. I was still a teenager then. After that experience, I said, no. I started asking questions. I was doing everything I could in the little knowledge I had then to bring justice to the poor parents of the minor. It was in the course of doing that somebody said, this thing you're doing is the work. You're acting as if you're acting like a human rights activist. Maybe because of my background, it was new to me. So I said, okay, what is that? Who is that person supposed to be? After he threw more lights on it for me, I said I will stop at nothing. And from that teenage days till now, but I've never really had, not sure I've had complete 2 weeks. Maybe once in a while I'll get 1 week of no reports, no disturbances. But I can't remember any time I've had 2 weeks. Sometimes it will even be in days. Sometimes in a day you have 2 cases. And it's disheartening, because if we have a lot of people who the general public know that, okay, if Wanyedeka is not available, if this other person is that we need to make it a point of duty. You can look at beyond government, you can look at societies where the minorities, where the weak is factored into priorities. It's societies where everybody is surviving by the survival of the fittest. It's not, of course, if you're sincere to yourself, you won't take those societies as those that mean well. But we can use every opportunity we have. I'm so grateful. This is the first time I'm hearing I think it has flipped past my ear signature TV. In fact, when I was invited, I was asking, is it an online, is it a blog, you know? So, but finding out that such a new television station is giving attention to discussions and topics like human rights will make me, for me, because this is the way I rate organizations and people. We're using this platform to educate the people. At every given time you have the opportunity, please lay emphasis on it, because if we have a society or a government that pays attention to the rights of its citizens, definitely it will do well in other places. So this knowledge is all encompassing. This knowledge is very important. And in case any person who is watching the television is just getting to see this level of engagement for the first time, you don't know what will happen to you tomorrow. But if you have enough knowledge, if you are equipped with what you ought to do, I've been in situations where, if not for the much I know, I would have either been rough-handled by the police or maybe people intimidate me and what have you. But knowledge, like you rightly said, is power. It gives power, it gives confidence. When you know what you should know in every given situation, you're not perturbed. You're not part of the people that will start running around when things are happening. And it's one of the desires I have as a human being, that one day I will live in a society where the rights of the most less privileged, the minority, and the weak could be protected, not just maybe provision made for the rich.
So where can we get advocacy in this sense now? Because if the rights of the weak, the less privileged, the vulnerable, you name it, can be protected, we need lots of advocacy so that laws can be made to protect this category of Nigerians. How good is the advocacy of the human rights community?
Okay, it's very unfortunate that around this place, some of the people that are doing so much are not receiving the support you do not need so much. I've handled cases that the people were budgeting a whole lot of money to solve. Once it gets to my attention, some of them will need a few minutes of my time to go straight to maybe the establishment or agency that is involved and give directives and say, if this is not done, this is what I'm going to do. And then it gets solved. And like I get pained when such people, your money was saved, you were rescued from the situation, yet you will not say, I need to be part of this. I need to also know how I can become a problem solver to this extent. The human rights community, especially in the Southeast, not just in ENUGU, is, I think, I mean, in most cases, when I go for, I try to go with younger people. I tell them I will not always continue to be the only cock that crows. So once they come there, in some cases, you see the people trying to frustrate you. There are people who feel good that once they show up, people start shivering for them. So if you come and you want to take that away from them, they will go to any extent to fight you. There are people who know that once I come to a police station for a case, except if it's a person who has been arrested, there are some leading evidence or something that will show that this person is actually, but if it is all this random, arbitrarily arrest, once I come, the person is not paying anything. So most of the policemen that will know that this guy, once he comes here, he will not pay anything. They will go away, some of them will disappear, they will switch off their phone and what have you. So if people who are not deeply determined get to that situation, where in some cases, before I got to the advanced level now, where I know that if the IPO, that's the person in charge of the case, is not responding, I'll speak to the DCO. If the DCO don't, I will speak to DPO, DPO. I'll go to area commander. I'll go to the state. Then I can even call federal. Before I got this level of knowledge, I'll just be waiting. I'll say, where did you people say he go? You wait from maybe 10 or 11 a.m. till 5. Sometimes he will even dismiss from the shift where he is and take back exit door and disappear. You'll find out you're staying till the night. So there are processes where you get to. It's really very frustrating. But because you were asking why. A lot of people will not.
I was talking about the advocacy.
Yeah, a lot of people will not want to do this. It's not something that is widely celebrated. People want things that are attached with noise. That's why. If you are interested in followership of social media handle, you see it increasing. From ordinary 200 I have, I'm now more than 1,007. Tomorrow, they might even formulate a story. A woman has just been slapped by a junction. Nigerians, what are you people doing? And this will start, Nigerians will start, all these things. And if you really want to do advocacy, human rights intervention, and then in the course of leaving the cameras at home when you solve your problem, you need to be determined. You need to be driven by passion. If not, you do it halfway and you'll be asking yourself, man, does this really worth it? And again, you don't really get appreciated, even from the people you helped. There are cases where if somebody has said to me, are you not being paid for what you do? After his problem has been solved. And I was insisting that he should become part of the people who will now become the small guy. He said, no, who will now be paying me? I said, who paid me for the one I came and did for you? He asked me, are you not being paid? I said, by who? So, and it was even more discouraging for him. He said, wait, you're not being paid by anybody and you expect me to come and leave every other thing. But he didn't. He expected me and I did it for his own case. So I've not really been able to find a way. Who and who will you count in ENUGU now? As you can count it in the fingers of one hand. How many people I know that will come to do interventions for people? And these people are not, for me, they are not receiving the appreciation and support and recognition they need. Because if you're doing it for recognition, definitely you won't go past 2 to 3 interventions, you will stop. But it ought to be. This is, for me, the fundamental of every society. And if we are not having it, the few people who are doing the advocacy, even if you carry advocacy to some organizations and government agencies, or you come to talk about human rights. Very recently, I was with a group of, let me use the word, prominent people, and I was telling them, okay, everybody was saying we would like to do this. There's some sort of structure we're building. And when I said my interest will be in the cases of human rights in communities, the overall person there said, you and this your human right. It's like you were born the day of the human. Yeah, do I say to them, if people at your level have this type of thoughts, you can imagine what less knowledgeable people will be saying. So there'll be a whole lot of factors that militate against the advocacy and the advocates. But we will keep believing that one day more voices will rise to speak for.
Now, why I look at advocacy is this. At a point, after the end SARS, period, many things changed in the police structure, including human rights desk coming up. So I would have been thinking that the advocacy from the human rights community will be having a synergy with the police, so that once the human rights community appear there, they will understand that this matter can resolve here and now, and not giving you the same police attitude. But not to take anything away from you, I think we will find another day to continue this conversation, because there is no way we can talk about human rights without going to the impact. So this is an open invitation. You said almost every 2 weeks you are tied up. So look for one of the 2 weeks that you're a bit free and bring you back here.
It's all right.
Thank you very much, Onyedika.
It's my pleasure. Thank you
It's
very
my
much
pleasure,
for having me.
actually. It's been great.
Thank you very much.
And I'm saying thank you again to Onyedika Chiagbo for coming on and for telling us that with knowledge, a lot of human rights problems will be a thing of the past. As I say, thank you for watching us today on Southeast News. Join us tomorrow. We'll be back. Barry Kumado was my name. Thank you again.
Hello. You are watching Uncommon Conversations on Signature Television. We're reaching you from our ENUGU studios. Of course, ENUGU is still the capital of Southeast Nigeria. We used to be the capital of Eastern Region, East Central State, Anambra State, Old ENUGU State, and of course the ENUGU State. So it's still the capital of Southeast Nigeria. I just woke up this morning, whether you are in Maiduguri or you are in Port Harcourt, or whether you are in Ibadan, or whether you are in Sokoto, or whether you are in the southeast, to an avalanche of protests from citizens of Nigeria who over the past 1 year and 2 months have continued to suffer from what they call bad governance. They said the era of bad governance started on 29th of May, when the president, who was just sworn in on that day, made an announcement. Fuel subsidy is gone. And with that announcement, everything went haywire. And in the past 1 year and 2 months, I just have had it rough. Some will say the good, the bad, the ugly. And in the last past 2 months, it got a head on that Nigerians are beginning to say, no, we need to make our voices heard. We need to express our feelings. We want the people in government to know the way we are feeling. Dollar, of course, to the naira is beyond anybody's reach. Food prices has skyrocketed. And somebody just said this morning that if you take 100,000 naira to the market, you come with a tiny polythene bag. If you take 10,000 naira to the market, you'll be searching your hands what actually did I buy. And so there have been threats of a protest across the nation. Government at all levels, federal and states, have made frantic efforts to avert this protest. For me and for most people, the right to vote is as equal as to the right to protest. If you can vote, then you can protest. And no Nigerian should be deprived of that right. But where your right stops and that man's right begins, you have a right to swing your arms but you must mind the noses or faces of people standing by your side. So as you go out to protest, you must ensure that I have the freedom to drive my car to wherever I want to go. Since morning, across all states, Federal Capital Territory inclusive, they have demonstrated in many ways their feelings. And so this evening, we're going to have just a conversation around what has been going on since morning. And I've been joined by no less a person than the chairman of Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria, ENUGU State Branch, who is also a communication scholar. Actually, he's a development communication scholar at University Don, Ambrose Iwoke, PhD. Ambrose, how are you?
Well, we are fine. Thank you.
Oh, you're fine?
Yeah, we are protesting our own here.
Okay,
like intellectual protest.
No. Ambrose, you woke up in the morning. So did you join the protest or were you protesting in a bedroom?
Well, we have been perpetual protest by the nature of our jobs as public affairs analysts. Okay. We are perpetual protest because we always try to engage the government. We try to highlight where the government is doing wrong. We try to commend where the government does well. And we try to set agenda for the people as well as for the government. And we bring all those things to fore. We have been saying those things even since. It's just that some people were still engrossed in their party politics, ethnic sentiments, and religious affiliations. But now I think it's biting deep on everybody. And then suddenly the Nigerians woke up.
Okay, what's your take on the right to protest? Is it a legitimate right?
Well, it's enshrined in the Constitution and any democracy. In fact, it's a constitutional right in any democracy. And where democracy does not exist, it is a taken right. It's taken by force. Because even in dictatorships, we see protests. We have seen them in Nigeria. The military era was not a democratic era. But the president today and his cohorts who formed the crux of an NADECO, National Democratic Coalition, to protest against the annulment of the June 12th presidential election of MK Abiola, formed a coalition in terms where protest was not a legitimate right in the Abacha regime. Even during the IBB era, where they came out to the streets and ensured that Babangida stepped aside. And when Abacha took over, they were on the streets in the face of, they were, in fact, Ganifa Wahimi, Falan, all those people, when they finished protesting, they put out their arm like this for handcuffs because they know they must pick them. Because that time it was illegitimate. They were tear gas, they were put in various prisons, they were being killed, but the protest still went on. That's to show you the resilience of the human nature. So that is why constitutionally in democracies, they allow it because human beings need to ventilate their frustrations, need to express their anger, needs to have an avenues to set their disaffections. If you don't give it to them, then you are creating monsters. So give them that avenue. And when during the military era where it was not given, it was taken by the citizens. And what did the state do? The despotic state, they started killing them. We lost people. Simbiat Abiola was assassinated. We lost people like Alfred Riwani and a lot of other people. People like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who's our president now, went on exile. People like Professor Woloshenka went on exile. Kayode Fayemi them and all those places. And after that, the NADECO had to go and establish a radio station outside this country and was beaming the signals back. So these are protests. Because there's what you call physical protest, there's what you call guerrilla protest, there are all kinds of, there's what you call, last one I mentioned, intellectual protest. There are other protests like sit at home. It's a sort of protest where the citizens refuse to come out. And so, but what we have today is what we call the street protest, where people were asked to come out on the street to move around and protest, wave their banners, make speeches, do communiques, and the rest. So it is an enshrined right. During the military era, there was the issue that before you protest, you must write to the authorities, the military authorities,
get permission.
And you must get permission. A lot of costs are thrown that away in a constitutional democracy, that you don't need permission. But the police seems to be still stuck in the past. We see police commissioners, high-ranking police officials expressing ignorance on the matter. You do not need, the citizens don't need your permission to protest. All they need to do is to inform you that, look, we are coming out for protests. And why they inform you is for you to provide adequate security so that protests, legitimate protests, are not hijacked, so that legitimate protests don't spiral into riots, so that they don't spiral into violence. And that is why you must inform the security authority, especially the police, to ensure that guide. And then, if it is a even street where you need to involve other agencies like the like road safety. Sometimes the NDDC is involved, so that the vehicular traffic in a state like Lagos, where they have agencies like Lamata, this is Lagos State Motor Agency, where they control traffic. LASMA, sorry, I wanted to talk about LASMA, where they control traffic and they engage them, so that, as you said, while your right to protest is going on, you don't infringe on the right of the right of movement of other citizens. So they help to direct traffic. They help to make sure that people with dangerous weapons don't infiltrate or don't become part. They make sure you don't burn down infrastructure. You don't loot people's businesses. So those are the why the police should be involved.
Okay. Yes, the right to protest is enshrined in the Constitution, and where it is not given, it is taken. That's Ambrose Bouquet. Now, for a protest to happen, there should be certain basic measures to be taken. You mentioned one, you inform the police. And that means police will, when you inform them, they will make sure they have enough personnel. But assuming we consider that you inform them, like you say, it's not getting permission. You just inform them and say we don't have personnel to back up what they're doing. What does the law say about that? Is it silent on it?
No, I think it's silent. But the police is mandated by the constitutional duties also imposed on them to ensure that they provide security. Because they are not just providing security for the protesters. They are providing security for the society, for the citizens.
And that's why they're paid.
That's why they are paid. So, and that's why there's taxpayers' money. Both the people that are protesting and the people moving around their legitimate duties who are not part of the protest are part of the Nigerian citizen everyday life. So that is why they're, but because the protest is not a daily activity, a normal daily routine, that is why they're even informed. Because citizens don't inform police. If you want to have a meeting now, you don't inform police. If you want to go and play a football match, you don't inform police. If you want to go and go to the market, you don't inform the police. Because these are routine basic, because the police is already strategically located in all these places. But when it's now things like that will have a large number of convergence, then you can now start saying, oh, this is not normal. It is something out of the routine. That's why we are informing the police, so that the police can beef up security in that area. Security can now provide logistics support for the men in that area. For example, if you say you are protesting in a place like Ikeja in Lagos, the police in Ikeja may not be able to, and they may not to mop up other places. If you say you are protesting in a place like ENUGU, for example, and where you are protesting in ENUGU is Abapaniki, people from the other areas from ENUGU will have to also join the police in Abapaniki to ensure that, So that is why you inform the police, because there are going to be more men and logistics needed, apart from maybe the divisional or area command in that place to handle.
The run up to this, to today, the Nigerian government had made some frantic efforts, albeit late, an attempt to stop the protests. State governors also took the challenge. Some brought out some measures, called some organizations, called some youth groups, faith-based organizations, and said, please, don't do this. Looking back, do you think government acted proactively, or did they come too late? Because they knew when they started this. These last-minute efforts were like firefighting.
What I noticed, basically, was that non-elected government officials were talking to Nigerians. We don't know them. Nigerians don't know them. They were not in the ballot box. They didn't go to Nigerians to ask for votes. And they were the one talking. They were the one pushing the narrative of toughness. They were the one pushing the narrative of force in a democracy, using all kinds of languages that the military used in their era. And these people are mostly ministers, appointees. there are people that didn't go to the ballot box that Nigerians don't know. At the state level is the governor and the deputy governor that were voted for. Every other person is an appointee in the state executive council or whatever. The same thing at the federal level. It's only the president and vice president that were in the ballot box. Every other person is an appointee at the other state executive, except the only people who are now fully voted for is the National Assembly members, who have a conglomeration of people voted for from every part of the country. So when I say minister talk, like the minister of the FCT talking tough that it will not happen in FCT. I say, are you the owner of FCT? FCT belongs to Nigerians. So why will you even say? So you find out there is appointees that we're talking. And this gives a discordant tune. The government did not, at the federal level, the government did not handle this matter as a team that is organized. Various people were speaking differently, apart from the meetings that were held at the federal level, that maybe the Minister of Communication will come say something, address the media. The other people, I don't know what gave them the impetus. I saw the Minister of Coordinating Economy talking, Minister, different FCT talking, Minister of this will talk, even heads of agencies will talking tough. Party people will talk. We don't know these people. These people are mere appointees, talking down on Nigerians, telling them that they cannot demonstrate or protest, telling them that they cannot even, you see, people who are supposed to have decorum. I hear the commissioner of police, a senior police officer in Cross River State, he said, I think the commissioner, but I'm not too sure, this afternoon, talking about that you have a right to protest, but if you drop a pin, you go down with the pin. If you want to pick a pin, you go down, those kind of languages. So what we are saying is that the president himself, I heard the chief Ajolin Gurale yesterday, who is the spokesperson of the president, saying that the president did not say that Nigerians should not protest.
But are you concerned, perhaps I may say, are you worried that the president did not address the nation, even prior to this morning? The closest to that was the governor of Lagos State, who actually addressed Lagosians yesterday and appealed to them and set out a few things they think they could do. Because for those you say they were elected, a responsive and responsible elected leader would have taken this seriously and would have gone ahead to at least have a State of the Nation address, whether it's at the federal or state level. Apart from the Lagos State governor, I don't think any other governor did so.
Yeah, I think the engagement was so poor, both at the federal level and the state level. The same thing I said before, we're having appointees talking to us and not our elected officials. The PR strategy, the public relations strategy was very, very poor. The diplomatic tactics was also very, very disappointing. So when you come to this of this nature, I know there should be engagements, but there's nothing like hearing from your leader. Even in the various states, we are hearing youth leaders talking, you hear NANS talk, you hear market women talk. Is this how government is run? There were no strategic concerted efforts. So perhaps somebody once said that maybe in a country like this that have a public relations institute or mediators or different groups that are high professionals, if the government didn't know what to do, they would have engaged some of these professionals to give them a blueprint or give them a public relation or strategy, communication strategy, to be able to reach out to people. And then people were just talking differently, trying to impress.
Even at cross purposes.
Cross purposes, trying to impress, trying to talk. Look at Bayo Ononuga, say it was Peter Obi and his group, all kinds of things. Some people will come out threatening because of the loose way the public relation was handled and the communication. So everybody jumped on social media and started making video with their phones. Even the one that was saying that it was the Igbos that did it and that are planning it. So all kinds of things. And that is not how to, do what we call crisis management. How to do crisis communication. There's a special field called crisis communication, where in crisis there are languages, there are tones you use, even inflections. By saying come or come here, even the tone you use to say it matters. And that is the issue that we'll be having here. The president, if they had gotten strategic team to handle it, they would have told the president this thing you are saying. Address the nation. Yeah. And then this would have been done like maybe 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And then, some of the prescriptions I gave one time was that last week, why not engage these people? Some of them by 2 weeks ago have started coming out. People like Adegborua, who is a son, has also said, I identify with these people. People like Showore, I identify with this. And okay, let's start getting the faces. Can we release the parks? Every town, at least every state capital have a particular park where they, like in Abuja is Eagle Square. In Lagos, they have a lot of parks. Why didn't the government say, okay, we'll provide these parks for you, or we'll provide this center for you, we'll provide this for you, you can congregate there, we can do this. That will give them incentives to even say, okay, let's converge here. And then they can start doing things there. And the street protests might even do. Look at what happened in Abuja today at Eagle Square, which is a public park. So what you needed to do, put security and ensure that things are not destroyed in the park, so that you can have a place. Instead of them moving around, you can have portions where they can congregate. So if the president has come out to address the nation and say, oh, we know things are hard, we know things are tough, this and that, we recognize that the country is tough, but these are the processes we have patience with us. If you must demonstrate, we know it's your inalienable right. We shall protect you. We shall ensure that you are safe. We are provided, we are in the state executive council, the state council plus the governors. We have agreed that strategic places have been mapped out. Then each governor goes back to his own state, makes an announcement and says, oh, so park has been brought out, this and that. That would have minimized the tension. You would have seen people going different places with their plates of food or drinks, or DJ would have been set up. In fact, the state government can set up a DJ and turn it to a carnival. Yeah. So these are the ways you can douse down the tensions and control the protests.
Yeah, I think that in civilized climes, protests could be actually peaceful. But Nigerian government made reference, and I want you to weigh in on this. They ran back to the NSAS, and it became an excuse that the NSAS was violent or became violent. There are two different things. Either it was violent or sometimes it became violent. There might be intrusions for it to become violent. And so they were scared. They said that the protesters were wanting to do what happened in NSAS. When you had that, it didn't make any meaning to you.
It did, because some of these people are, the people in government, the past governments, the immediate past government, this government, are actually victims of violence during protests. I remember Buhari, it was the process of a protest led by Buhari, and that Chuba Kadibo was inhaled what he inhaled that finally ended his life. Yeah. They were protesting, and arm in arm, they were tear gassed. Yeah. They were tear gassed, and Chuba didn't make that. He didn't survive that. He didn't survive that. That's what killed Chuba Kadibo. And the same Buhari now became president, and we couldn't manage a protest. This is something we are talking about here. We talked about Tinubu being in the trenches, over the years.
He went into exile.
He went into exile because of a brutal regime. We remember the days of Tell magazine that they went into, in fact, where they were not allowed to broadcast, to publish. They went into what's called guerrilla journalism.
Guerrilla journalism.
Guerrilla journalism. They didn't have an address for printing the newspaper.
They could do the magazine.
You don't even know where they are doing the magazines were coming out. We have suffered tough this day. These are. It's not just even protests by being violent. The state was violent on Nigerian citizens, but we survived this, and we saw what happened at the end of the day. So what you have done was, you don't use one example. We have had litany of protests. Why didn't you use the Ojota January 2012 protest against removal of fuel subsidy? Why didn't you use that as an example? When musicians were coming to entertain Nigerians in Ojota Park, Ganifa Park in Ojota. That was also replicated in some other places. Why didn't you use all the protests about fuel increments? I remember the days of Adams Oshomole as president of National Labour Congress. In fact, the strike was almost like 3 or 4 times a year, major strikes. Once they increase fuel price, there will be strike. And people were strike and protest. They didn't just end the strike. They protested, and Nigerians were joining the protest. I remember the late Chima Bani, the CLO guy too, was very prominent in that. And people were protesting. So we have been protesting. In the time of Ella, there were lots of protests, and that was military regime. A lot of protests. We had protests against SAP, Structural Adjustment Program. We had protests, in fact, as much as 1976, we had protests in the Nigerian university called the Ali Must Go protest. Yes. Some of these people, some of these people now, you know, were students then and really participated in that protest. Ali Must Go. So why are we pretending? Why are we just singling out the NSAS? And the NSAS project, the protest has gone on for some days before that 20th of October mayhem that happened, you know. So why did it happen that day? Because that was the last day of the protest. Yeah. That ended the protest. The protest was on for some few days. Why are we not remembering those few days? So it is a failure. For me, it is a failure of security for a protest to go violent. It's a failure of intelligence gathering. It's failure because the security agencies themselves are supposed to be part of the protest. The intelligence community, they are supposed to be part of it in Mufti.
They could even be embedded.
Embedded. They embed themselves in the crowd, and because that is how intelligence work is done.
Okay, I want to bring you back to the Southeast. Because the charity, they often say we should begin at home. Ohanes Ndibo, both the leadership worldwide and the youth organization, state governors, well, Ohanes Ndibo and some Igbo groups brought out an angle that, of course, as far as I was concerned, was somehow confusing. They brought the idea that the Igbos have suffered and been marginalized, and there have been a lot of killings in Igbo land. And they say, please, don't come out. Don't participate. Don't protest. Even as eminently placed as the deputy speaker. In fact, he made an appeal, a last-minute appeal, telling our people, don't make yourself guinea pigs to be slaughtered. And if you listen to people, they tell you, oh, when we are suffering, the rest of the country kept quiet. Therefore, it appeared unofficially, so to speak. A lot of people, not state actors, are saying, Ndibo and have participate. Did you hear that? And honestly, what were your thoughts?
Well, you know, there were some videos of Igbo boys say, you know, when you read the video, what you see is that Igbo boys have started the protest. And when you open the video, you see people consuming plates of pepper soup and and beer, and say that is their own protest. They're making a parody of protest. You know, the Igbos have been known to be liberal people. They are the only ones in this country that venture into the farthest parts of any corner in this country to do business. So they are very liberalized people. They are very liberal. They see the Nigeria as their own, right from the time of Zeke, you know. But Nigeria has not seen the Igbos as having that right to, you know, especially after the Biafran War that ended in 1970. Germany, that did the Second World War, you know, have been embraced by Europe just a few years after the war. They have been embraced by Europe. Today, Germany, in the last 10 years, have been leaders of Europe. Nobody is still telling them that, oh, you wish the war against the pays in Nigeria to be ethnocentric. It pays. Because that is what other groups in Nigeria have been doing. Our brothers in the southwest, our brothers in the north. That ethnic clannishness has paid off plenty for them. So recently, you can see that in the last 3 weeks, listening to this protest, it has been dubbed an Igbo protest. The same thing happened in January 15, 1966. A coup that every sector of the Nigerian country dubbed it an Igbo coup. That led to the issues of that coup led to the civil war. Now we come again, almost how many years later, there's a protest. The Nigerians say they are hungry. The organizers of the protest are even from that have identified with the protest are from other parts of the country. Showore is not from, is not an Igbo man. Deji Adeyonju is not an Igbo man. Adegoruwa is not an Igbo man. Yet, somebody from the government, an appointee of government, came out and said it's because P2B lost election. Then some other people also came and said that videos have emerged There was a video that I think at was to do Dumota Market where they were telling people not to come out from post. So the Igbos were like, okay, oh, it seems you guys are not suffering this hunger. You are not suffering the hyperinflation. You are not suffering from the skyrocketed cost of living. Okay, good. Since it is like that, and there have been obvious marginalization, I keep on saying about the Lokoweto Bridge.
I want you to hold your thoughts. We'll just go on a short break. When we come back, you pick up from where you just stopped about this idea that the Igbos feel even maltreated, and in fact it's been dubbed wrongly an Igbo protest, and therefore some people are saying stay put. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly. You are still watching Uncommon Conversations on Signature Television, and we're still reaching you from our ENUGU studios. My guest is still Dr. Ambrose Iboke. Before we went on break, Ambrose, you are trying to explain your feelings or your thoughts about, quote and unquote, the idea that some Igbo people say, look, we're not in this. Please, we don't want to be made a mincemeat for what does not concern us.
Remember the 1993 also Abiola, when the Igbos dubbed it also Abiola. When the Nadeko issue started, the protest against the annulment of June 12th election. A lot of Igbos left where they were living, especially in the southwest, and relocated. Some of them ran for their lives because it reminded a lot of them of 1967, 66, 67. Igbos were mostly casualties. A lot of them died on their way. A lot of them lost their means of livelihood just because of fear. In when we also had the jingoism, your ethnicity, your religious affiliation, your party affiliation, we reduce the cost of food for you when you go to the market, for example. We give you the jobs you need. And most of the Igbos, a lot of the Igbo youths that were engaged, they said that they're not doing it, they stayed away.
That takes us to the actual protests. When in ENUGU, it would appear, so to speak, the ENUGU has been peaceful, even though the streets are deserted. Do you think it's a response to this call?
Yes, it is a day for businesses, and though we didn't do protests in ENUGU and other parts of the south, there were no protests. But economic activities were grounded, and that's why I allow the person, protest or no protest, we're all losers. Because a lot of, you didn't know how much billions of naira that was lost in the southeast today because of this protest and in other parts of the country. So it affected us in a way or the other, but there were no protests in Igbo land because of these issues we have aligned, and then people just sat back at home and said, well, when the other parts of the country are ready to open up, and they will do. But the streets are just deserted. People are with people are cautious. They're watching the thing from their TV. Other parts of the country are doing their own protests. Most businesses are locked. They didn't. Protests didn't hold.
Okay, Bayelsa, I want to pick Bayelsa. And I'm wondering why the Southeast governors didn't even do what Bayelsa did. The Bayelsa governor said, today is not a holiday. You have to come to work. Protesters, you have a right to protest. We'll protect you. Testing, and they were being protected, and there was no violence, at least at the point before we entered the studio.
People also protested for government, even then. There was another set of protesters.
No, yes, so
in Bayelsa,
but at least the governor says, come to work. That's number one. Protesters, go on and protest. Security people, protect them. And the clips we got from watching that showed that, you see, that was one state I saw everything moving. The protesters were on, and so does it mean that if there's a protest, government activities should be shut down?
It doesn't mean, but because of the narratives and that of
but
what
if
has
it happened in Bayelsa, what would happen
the narratives, the Southeast was in the last few days of the Southeast has already been. There was always complaint of being heavily policed, heavily militarized.
Police in ENUGU today.
No, I'm talking about over time.
Yes.
People have complained. The number of roadblocks in Southeast is nowhere in this country. And then in the last few days, we see a lot of military presence, people in Owerri, because of experiences in the past. So people are actually afraid. And these things you said Bayelsa governor did, we didn't hear that from any corner in the Southeast too. If this, like I said, protesters, when you work with them, there's another state, for example, Commissioner of Police in Edo State.
Yes, I was going to come
Yes, the protesters.
You
and they
want-
were cheering him. They
Yes.
were,